Sonic Adventure 2, the last big hit on the Dreamcast, and the final Sonic game ever released on a Sega console. It's both a successor and the exact opposite of its predecessor. Sonic Adventure was Sega's triumphant return, the launch title that came out swinging, throwing everything it had against the wall to push the Dreamcast and sell units. But despite its ambition, Sega's last console, the Dreamcast, struggled against the PlayStation 2 and other competition. Still, the Dreamcast went out with a bang. Its swan song was Sonic Adventure 2. Gone were the hub worlds. This time, it was all about action, moving from stage to stage as the story swapped between 6 playable characters. Sonic and newcomer Shadow had the speed stages. Eggman and Tails got shooting stages similar to Gamma's from Adventure 1, and Knuckles and Rouge had treasure hunting stages. Everything was bigger, louder, faster, more set pieces, more chaos, better music. Sega went all out for their final act. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive into Sonic Adventure 2, the last Sonic game on a Sega console. Alright, this is a great time to hop into the hero side story. Unlike the first Sonic Adventure, which is split into 6 different character campaigns, Sonic Adventure 2 keeps things simple. You've only got 2 stories, Hero and Dark. Each one follows a specific team, each with their own goals. Team Dark is complicated. They're less united by friendship and more of, we all want different things, but working together will get us to our objectives faster. The hero side story sees Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles try to stop Eggman from whatever the heck he's doing. Well, I should also add in there that Knuckles is after the Master Emerald because it broke again, but that's more of a side quest.
The hatch doors are open.
Don't sweat it, Knuckles. The only thing in the cargo bay are those Master Emeralds.
Don't sweat it,
right?
Land the
You could start with either story at the beginning of the game, but for this review, we're going to kick things off with the hero side. And it begins with a bang. Quite literally. Sonic, at some point or another before the events of the game, got himself arrested for some reason, so he's not having that. So, he jumps out of a military helicopter after beating the crap out of everybody inside, drops this crazy one-liner.
What do you think you're doing? Get that hedgehog!
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. I like running better.
He then rips a piece off the wing and proceeds to jump down to the city below with this absolute shit-eating grin all over his face. Now let's talk about City Escape, one of the most iconic openings in any Sonic game. The level literally opens with Sonic landing on the street with that piece of metal he ripped off the military helicopter earlier and snowboarding down the street with it. Smashing into cars, doing tricks off ramps. It's completely nuts. Fun fact, the reason you can plow through cars is because Sonic Team was living in San Francisco during the development of this game, and they kept getting parking tickets. So they took their revenge on the city by making cars go flying in Sonic Adventure 2. It's petty, but it's funny. The snowboard section doesn't last long though. Once you're back on foot, the real meat of the speed-style gameplay kicks in. It feels very familiar to Sonic Adventure 1, but with one huge change. You can't spam the spin dash anymore. You actually have to charge it now. Tapping the button now makes you do a somersault. Holding it down is how you do the spin dash. The somersault is a cool move. It's great for sliding under tight gaps. And yeah, I would say it's an okay move. And Cityscape, the stage itself, is just fantastic. Hills to sprint down, ramps everywhere, and of course, another big new mechanic introduced in this game, rail grinding. Sonic can hop onto rails thanks to his soap shoes. And yes, soap was a real early 2000s sports brand. And the reason Sonic is wearing these shoes is thanks to a partnership between Sega and the soap brand. Heck, there's actually billboards all over Cityscape thanks to this partnership, as well as a bunch of other fictional advertisements littered throughout the level, which I think is an amazing touch. It does so much in terms of world building and making the world feel lived in. And the music of Cityscape is just legendary. And that is exactly why we are going to analyze the lyrics and try to find out their meaning. Because A, it's my video, I can do whatever the heck I want. And B, because I'm pretty sure half the people who have played this game have no idea what the heck these lyrics mean beyond escaping from the city. So let's start with the first verse. Basically, Sonic's fast, he's got places to go, and he's following his rainbow. This is just pure 2000s optimism. It's about momentum, freedom, and not wasting time. Sonic is not going to sit around. He always moves forward, even if he doesn't know what's ahead. Basically, Sonic's trying to teach you, trust the speed and trust the flow. And don't overthink it, whatever you do.
Must keep on moving ahead. No time for guessing, follow my pen instead. Trusting in what you can see. Take my lead, I'll set you free. Follow me, set me free. Trust me and we will escape from the city. I'll make it through. Follow me, set me free. Trust me and we will escape from the city. I'll make it through, prove it to you. Follow me.
Then we hit the chorus. Follow me, set me free, trust me, and we will escape from the city. This is Sonic as a character distilled into lyrics. He's not just running, he's inviting you to run with him. And never look back, and don't second guess yourself. And you'll be just fine.
Oh yeah. Danger is lurking around every turn. Trust your feelings, got to live and learn. I know with some luck that I'll make it through. Got no other options, only one thing to do. I don't care what lies ahead. No time for guessing, follow my plan instead. Find that next day, no matter what that may be. Take my lead, I'll set you free.
In the second verse, Sonic is acknowledging that Gun is after him, and danger is everywhere. But you gotta trust your feelings and live and learn. A little wink to the game's main theme, by the way. You see, Sonic knows that obstacles are constant, but the solution is always forward motion.
Follow me, set me free. Trust me and we will escape from the city. I'll make it through. Follow me, set me free. Trust me and we will escape from the city. I'll make it through, prove it to you. Follow me, follow me. I'll make it through, oh yeah.
And now we get to the outro. which is just pure confidence. I'll make it through, prove it to you. It's Sonic's defiance, his swagger, and his belief that no matter how chaotic things get, he will always make it through, no matter what. And just when you think City Escape can't get any crazier, the gun truck shows up. Yeah, Gun tries to run Sonic down with a full-on 18-wheeler. No joke, they are so desperate to capture this hedgehog that they unleash a semi-truck the size of a small building and just let it tear through the city. Property damage? Doesn't matter. Collateral damage? Big the Cat gets flattened in the background and nobody even blinks. It's absolutely ridiculous, but that's what makes it unforgettable. But of course, Sonic outruns it, completing the first level in the game, City Escape.
Yes!
Next up, we get our first boss fight, Bigfoot. And before the fight even starts, I want to point something out. If you look in the background of the cutscene, you can actually see a billboard for Phantasy Star Online. Another Sega game that was out around the same time this game came out. We'll talk about that game another day, but it's a neat little detail that I thought I would point out. Anyway, back to Bigfoot. There are basically two ways to take this guy down. There's the boring, easy method, which is wait for him to fire his missiles, dodge them, and then hit him in the cockpit while he's out of ammo, before he takes off again. It works, but it's slow. Or, you can do it the fun way. Hop onto the crates, or use the bounce bracelet to get height. Once you get enough height, just homing attack directly on the cockpit, while he's still flying. It's way faster, and honestly, after playing this game way too much, it's the only method I use anymore. Bigfoot goes down pretty easily, and then we finally get the answer to the big question. Why was Sonic arrested in the first place?
For the likes of you! So, where do you think you're going with that emerald? Say something, you fake hedgehog!
Chaos Control!
He's fast! Hey, it's not his speed, he must be using the Chaos Emerald to warp.
Shadow, I'm the world's ultimate life form. There's no time for games. Farewell!
Shadow, what is it?
I absolutely love this cutscene as an intro for Shadow. It's dramatic, it's stylish, and it's also unintentionally hilarious when Sonic gets immediately arrested again. That always makes me laugh. So, now we know why the military is after Sonic. And look, I know what literally everyone is thinking. How in the world do they confuse Sonic and Shadow? They look almost nothing alike. Well, here's my fan theory as to how it happened. I don't think the military confused them at all. I think they know exactly who Shadow is. As we learn later in the Darkseid story, Shadow was a secret military weapon. And now that their top secret project has escaped and is causing chaos, do you really think they want to admit that? Just imagine the headlines. Government loses super weapon. Oops! That's a massive PR disaster. But if they blame Sonic, a public figure, someone everyone already knows, suddenly it's not their fault anymore. They're not incompetent, they're just doing their job. So, in my theory, they're basically framing Sonic to cover up their own screw-up. Now, to be fair, there's nothing in the game that outright confirms this, the much more likely explanation is the fact that the script was written back when Shadow's early design was Terios, who looked way more like Sonic. And when they did the redesign to make him into the Shadow we know today, they just didn't update the script because development was way too far along. And another thing I have to bring up. Why in the world does Sonic call Shadow a fake hedgehog? Like, what grounds does he have for that? At this point in the story, Sonic has zero information about Shadow. He doesn't know he was created in a lab. He doesn't know anything about him. All he sees is another upright, talking hedgehog who can run fast. And let's be honest, Sonic isn't exactly a normal hedgehog either. Real hedgehogs don't sprint at Mach 1 or befriend two-tailed foxes. So Sonic calling Shadow a fake hedgehog makes absolutely no sense in universe. It's one of those lines that feels like the writers wanted Sonic to sound cool and confrontational, but when you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it literally makes no sense. Alright, now that Sonic's been arrested again, you'd probably love to see what happens to him, right? Too bad, because at that moment, Sonic Adventure 2 cuts to Knuckles the Echidna, who is currently in the middle of the desert arguing with Rule 34 the Bat over the Master Emerald, which got stolen. Again. Seriously, Knuckles, buddy, how good of a guardian are you? This thing has been stolen twice now and shattered once. By the way, the character he is arguing with is Rouge the Bat, also known as the character designed with extremely exaggerated curves because Sega wanted to appeal to a more mature audience. You see, subtlety was not on the menu in 2001. Anyway, while Knuckles and Rouge are busy yelling at each other, Eggman shows up and tries to steal the Master Emerald for himself. Luckily, Knuckles smashes the emerald to keep Eggman from taking it, because he knows he can restore it later. Rouge absolutely loses her mind over this, until Knuckles explains to her what he's doing. Then she calms down just long enough for the emerald shards to scatter across the desert. And with that, Knuckles begins his first level, Wild Canyon. And honestly, I really like this level. It reintroduces the treasure hunting gameplay from Sonic Adventure 1, but with some major changes. The biggest one is the new Emerald Radar. In Adventure 1, the radar could detect all 3 shards at once, which made most of Knuckles' levels last about 3 minutes tops. It was fun, but it was also ridiculously easy. Adventure 2 nerfs the radar so it only tracks 1 shard at a time. You can be standing right next to a piece of the Master Emerald, and the radar will not go off unless that particular piece is what it's looking for. Some people absolutely hate this, but honestly, I don't mind it too much. It makes the levels feel more challenging and actually have a decent length to them. Sure, in certain levels, it gets really annoying, but I would say about 80% of the time, it's just fine. Another change that's actually a major improvement in my opinion is that Knuckles and Rouge get their own dedicated stages now. No more scavenging for emeralds through chopped up versions of Sonic's levels like Knuckles did in the first game. These areas are built specifically for treasure hunting, and it shows. Wild Canyon itself is split into 2 main areas. The underground chamber, which is small and compact, but great for getting used to the basic controls. And the upper canyon section, which is exactly what it sounds like. A big open canyon full of hidden crevices and vertical spaces, and little secrets tucked into the corners. It's fun to explore, and it gives you a good sense of how treasure hunting stages will work for the rest of the game. And of course, we have to talk about the music. Every Knuckles stage in the game has a rap track that plays during it, which is sung from his perspective. Wild Canyon's rap track is Kick the Rock, and it's actually a pretty good track. So, what are we waiting for? Let's analyze it and try to figure out what the heck these lyrics mean.
This is Knuckles, and I'm back. I've been away for a while, but I'm back to kick some butt in Wild Canyon. I shall find all the lost pieces of the Master Emerald here. I'm gonna get those fools. They wanna play with my emeralds? They playing with the wrong guy.
Here, Knuckles is basically announcing himself like he's a street rapper. And the meaning is pretty obvious. You mess with his emeralds, you gotta deal with the Knuckles.
Heck, I don't know. That's what I'm representing. Never seen a mic hog spit like a menace. Wild Canyon fun, I gotta chase a bat, huh? Yeah, Rouge, she's sexy and smooth. A double cross spot thief, that's out for my juice, I'm feeling her in mysterious ways. That's why I stay on point like every single day. I gotta protect this place, I do it for my race,
At this point, Knuckles realizes that he likes women with curves. I mean, come on, he straight up calls Rouge sexy and smooth. And it's pretty awkward, because Knuckles is supposed to be this stoic guardian of the Master Emerald. But this rap line makes him sound like he's halfway between protecting the Emerald and simping over Rouge. And it's absolutely hilarious. But, in the end, he realizes he has to do this for his race. And his duty comes before Lady Booty. This verse is all about Knuckles being angry that someone stole his Master Emerald. Again. Now he's actively chasing that snitch Bat Rouge down. And I always find it funny that the song says, "Give up the emerald or die, I don't love you." It's just hilarious. It's like, buddy, you are so in denial about how you feel that it's hilarious. So yeah, the Wild Canyon lyrics actually reveal a lot about Knuckles. He clearly has feelings for Rouge and is trying really hard to stay focused on his mission instead of getting distracted by the curvy bat who keeps stealing his stuff. It's a whole situation. Anyway, after the Knuckles desert detour, we cut to Tails, who's flying the tornado towards Prison Island to bust Sonic out. Turns out, Sonic is being held in this world's version of Alcatraz. Because, apparently, the military thinks the best place to store a hedgehog is a maximum security island fortress. On the way there, Tails spots Amy in trouble, because she somehow ran into Dr. Eggman, so he lands the tornado to help her. And this introduces us to the last of the returning gameplay styles, the mech stages. And this is probably the gameplay style that has changed the most from Sonic Adventure 1. You see, the shooting gameplay in Adventure 1 had you play as Gamma, and you had a strict time limit. And I use the term strict loosely, because you had to keep shooting enemies to extend your timer, so you didn't explode. It was fast, fluid, and surprisingly stylish. In Sonic Adventure 2, the mech gameplay is a little bit different. There's no timer anymore, but the controls are much stiffer, and the mechs feel way heavier and clunkier to control. It feels like you're piloting an actual tank. Which, to be fair, makes sense. But, luckily, All the mech stages here are original. These levels are designed specifically around the mechs and their controls, which makes them a lot more fun in my opinion. A lot of people don't like them that much, but I personally enjoy them, even if the controls are a little stiff. You do get used to it eventually. Anyway, once Tails lands, he has to fight his first boss, Eggman. And this fight is pathetically easy. Seriously, you can beat this fight in like 15 seconds. Blink and you'll miss it. After the fight, Eggman runs off, and Tails immediately asks Amy the question that's on everyone's mind. What are you doing here? And of course, Amy says she's here to rescue Sonic. But I have an even better question. How did Amy get here? She's a normal pink hedgehog who stands out like a neon sign, and she somehow made it onto a high-security military prison island in the middle of the freaking ocean. Did she swim? Did she hitchhike on a cargo ship? Did she just walk in and nobody stop her? Tails doesn't bother asking any of these incredibly logical questions. He just shrugs, moves on, and proceeds to bust his best friend out of prison, kicking off his first level, Prison Lane. And the objective of the level is simple. Break Sonic out of prison by blowing up literally everything that gets in your way. And honestly, this level does a great job of introducing you to the mech gameplay. If you want, you can just mash the shoot button, like you did in the Eggman fight, and bulldoze your way straight to the goal. That works just fine. But the real fun comes from locking onto multiple enemies at once and getting combos. There's nothing more satisfying than tagging 6 robots in one sweep and watching them all explode together. It's pure 2000s dopamine. And the music here? Fantastic. Tails' stage music mixes Sonic-style rock with electronic percussion, almost EDM-like, and it fits the vibe perfectly. Prison Lane's track really sells the vibe of busting your best friend out of prison by any means necessary. Seriously, take a listen. It's awesome. At the end of the level, it's not Tails who busts Sonic out of prison. It's actually Amy. Yeah, I'm going to assume that while Tails was busy blowing up half the island, Amy took the opportunity to sneak around like it's Amy Gear Solid to find Sonic. And along the way, she must have swiped a key card off a guard or something. But of course, she's not going to let him out immediately. No, she tries to bargain with him. She wants Sonic to marry her. And honestly, it's absolutely hilarious. Sonic is trapped in a prison cell, Amy has the only way out, and he still hits her with,
No way!
It's just great. Like, dude, maybe try to play along with her for 5 seconds. You are literally behind bars. She is your only escape route. Maybe play along with her just a little bit. I mean, she does let him out anyway, but still, come on, dude. And then the moment she frees him, Sonic just bolts. He doesn't thank her. He doesn't wait for her. He doesn't even really acknowledge the fact that she just saved him. He just takes off the first chance he gets. All I can say is dick move, man. Dick move. This leads us into Sonic's next level, Metal Harbor. Easily one of the best levels in the entire game. This level sees Sonic tearing through a naval military base / prison complex, wrecking everything in sight as he tries to escape. The level is very short, but it's pure adrenaline as you blast through the harbor at top speed. And the military is doing absolutely everything they can to stop him. There's even a section where Gun starts airstriking their own aircraft carrier just to hit Sonic. They are so desperate to catch this hedgehog, they are willing to bomb their own equipment. That's commitment, or incompetence, or maybe both. This is also where you get the Lightspeed Dash upgrade, and it's been massively improved since Sonic Adventure 1. In SA1, the Lightspeed Dash took forever to charge up. In Adventure 2, once you pick it up, you just tap the button near a trail of rings, and zoom, you're instantly on the other side. And yes, it's mapped to the B button, along with the somersault and the spin dash. Yeah, I'm sure that won't cause any problems down the line. It's not like they're gonna add anything else to the B button, right? Right? Anyway, the level's short but sweet. And of course, everyone remembers the missile at the end. At the very end of Metal Harbor, Sonic has to sprint up a missile launcher tower in under 15 seconds and grab a handle to ride the missile. There's an easy handle you can grab with no trouble, but there's also a much harder one that requires a near perfect run to grab. If you nail it, you get massive point bonuses. Sonic then rides the missile into the sky, hops off, and snowboards down a missile silo like it's no big deal. It's ridiculous, and it's awesome. Now here's something people always get wrong about the missile silo section. You see these containers with rings and extra lives in them? Most people think you're supposed to run into them, and because they don't bust, they assume the game is buggy. Well, that's not true at all. They do work, you just have to jump into them. Yeah, it took me a while to figure that out too. But yeah, they work fine. You're just doing it wrong. And the music is absolutely incredible. Metal Harbor has one of my favorite level themes in the entire game. Easily a top 3 for me. Seriously, take a listen to this and tell me it's not awesome. After Metal Harbor, Sonic finds himself in what I'm assuming is a jungle that's nearby. And who is waiting for him? None other than Shadow the Hedgehog. The two trade their iconic banter here, and it's great.
Hedgehog again, of all places.
I found you, Faker.
Faker? I think you're the fake hedgehog around here. You're comparing yourself to me? Huh. You're not even good enough to be
I'll
my
make you eat those words.
There's no time to play games. You won't even get the chance.
Then it's straight to the boss fight. And honestly, it's not too tough, but there's no rhyme or reason. It's just spam attacks, and you will eventually win. That's the only advice I can give you. After the boss fight, Eggman radios Shadow to remind him, "Hey, hurry up! The island's about to explode!" And here's the funny part. If Eggman hadn't have said that over the radio for Shadow, Sonic would not have known that the island was about to explode, and probably would have died. So Eggman unintentionally ends up saving Sonic's life, which I find hilarious. Once Sonic realizes the island is about to go boom, he bolts to find Amy and Tails, leading us to the next speed stage, Green Forest. And the game slaps an 8-minute timer on you, but to be honest with you, I've never run out of time in this level once. So the timer's not really a threat, it's just here for cinematic flair. The level itself, though, is pretty damn good. It's very fast-paced, fun, and a solid showcase of Sonic's speed. The stage was clearly designed with flow in mind. You move like a maniac, selling the urgency of escaping this place before it explodes. This is one level in the game I can confidently say was made for all the energy drink guzzling, speed addict Sonic fans. Oh, and the music? It captures the speed and urgency of the situation perfectly. Here, take a listen. At the end, Sonic does reunite with Tails and Amy, and the three barely escape on the tornado as the island detonates behind them. And it's just completely badass. Just gonna be straight up honest with you. This scene, pure badassery. You're probably wondering, hey, what happens to Sonic after they escape the explosion? But once again, Sonic Adventure 2 says, too bad, because instead of following Sonic, we cut straight back to Knuckles, who is now goofing around in this weird, spooky place called Pumpkin Hill. Now, everyone loves this level. It's not my absolute personal favorite, Knuckles level, but I do like it a lot. Pumpkin Hill is Knuckles' second level, and it's basically the Halloween town of the Sonic universe. You've got pumpkin-shaped towers, big spooky mountains, a spooky church, a graveyard, ghosts, and even a ghost train. It's wonderfully bizarre. And the level is extremely open, which makes navigating it pretty easy. Finding the Master Emerald shards here is a piece of cake, because you can glide around freely and cover a ton of ground. This is also where you get the Shovel Claw upgrade, which lets Knuckles dig underground to find hidden goodies. There's plenty of room to explore, and overall, it's a really fun stage. But of course, the real star of Pumpkin Hill is its music. So, what are we waiting for? Let's break down the lyrics of A Ghost Pumpkin Soup.
You know me, the fighting freak Knuckles, and we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ready? I ain't gon' let it get to me, I'm just gon' creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery.
Let's start with the opening lines and the first chorus. Right out the gate, Knuckles is introducing himself as the fighting freak, basically saying, yeah, it's me, this is my level, let's do this my way. Then the chorus kicks in, and Knuckles lays out the whole vibe of the stage. He acknowledges the ghosts, and the creepy atmosphere, and the graveyard weirdness, but he's not scared. If anything, he's warning the ghosts to back off. When he says they get leery, he's basically saying they get cautious around him. That's right, even supernatural creatures know not to mess with Knuckles the Echidna. The chorus also drops a surprisingly cool bit of lore. Knuckles can sense the Master Emerald shards thanks to the power of the emerald itself. That's the in-universe explanation for his radar ability. And the fact that this detail is revealed in a rap, not a cutscene, not a manual, but a freaking rap song, is honestly, completely, and utterly ridiculous. Like, did Hunted P, by the way, Hunted P is the guy who sings the Knuckles raps. Did he just make this up on the fly when he was rapping this? Or did Yuji Naka pull him aside and say, okay, so there's this really cool bit of lore that I need to put in the game to let the players know about. But we forgot to put it in the manual or anywhere else in the game, so can you work this into your rap song? Come on. Why is this ability only ever mentioned in this rap song? Why? Seriously, why?
Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkin in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back him up with a fist metal crackle. I'm hearing someone saying, you a chicken, don't be scared. It had to be the wind, cause nobody wasn't there. I searched and I searched as I climbed up the wall. And then I started to fly, I went in deeper. Let it get to me, I'm just gonna creep. Down Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head, I have no fear. It probably seemed crazy, a graveyard theory. A ghost tried to approach me, he got leery.
Now let's break down the next verse. Knuckles mentions asking a ghost a question, and the ghost immediately vanishes, which honestly is hilarious. Even the supernatural doesn't want to deal with Knuckles. And it sets the tone that everything in Pumpkin Hill is hostile, unhelpful, or just straight up weird. He talks about walking through valleys and alleys full of crying pumpkins, basically describing how bizarre and unsettling this place is. Nothing here wants to talk. Everything here wants to jump at him, and when they do, Knuckles just punches them. Because of course he does. And then there's the part where he hears someone taunting him, calling him a chicken. And instead of acknowledging that it might be, an actual ghost, he immediately blames it on the wind. It feels like Knuckles is trying very, very hard not to admit he's scared. He's in denial and full on, I'm not scared, you're scared mode. But despite all the creepy stuff happening around him, he refuses to back down. He keeps on searching, climbing walls, gliding deeper into the level, searching for the Master Emerald. Absolutely nothing is gonna get between him and his damn emerald. And now we get to the bridge, the last part we gotta talk about. It's short, but memorable. This is where Knuckles basically reminds you exactly who he is. Yeah, the level is spooky. Yeah, there are ghosts everywhere. But he's Knuckles, the Echidna. The guy who punches robots for fun and guards a reality-bending rock 24/7. He doesn't back down from anything. And that's pretty much the entire song. Pumpkin Hill is easily one of the most memorable tracks in the entire game. For a lot of people, this is the Knuckles rap they think of, and the one that pops into their head when you mention Sonic Adventure 2. It's not my absolute favorite Knuckles track, but I do like it. It's catchy, it's weird, and it's iconic. But seriously, what was Yuji Naka thinking? This song casually drops what feels like a major piece of Knuckles lore, the idea that the Master Emerald literally lets him sense the shards, and it's hidden in the verse of a rap song. What? So, after Pumpkin Hill, we cut back to Sonic and Eggman. And Eggman immediately decides to escalate things to supervillain levels. He awakens this ancient space station thing, fires its cannon, and blows up half the freaking moon. Then he announces he's gonna point that cannon at Earth, unless the world surrenders to him. Holy crap, things just got serious. Sonic, Tails, and Amy are back in the city when they see this happen, and immediately realize, oh, this isn't cartoon villainy anymore. This is a global threat territory. They need to find Eggman fast. Luckily, Tails has a Chaos Emerald, and since the cannon is clearly powered by the Chaos Emeralds, he figures he can use the one he has to track the others down. But before they can do anything, the cops show up and tell them to get on the ground. Naturally, Sonic steps forward to handle the situation, while Tails and Amy make their escape. Which leads us to the next level, Mission Street. And yeah, it's not a bad level, but it's not amazing either. It takes place in what looks like downtown San Francisco, and you also go across the Golden Gate Bridge at one point. It's a fine level, not terrible, not great, just solidly mid. The military is trying to stop Tails in his mech throughout the level, and he just blasts through them like they're made of cardboard. One cool detail you can actually see in the level is that there are wanted posters for Tails, and he's worth over $100,000. Yes, Tails is officially a wanted fox. And if you look closely, the poster barely has any info. Gunn has no record of his birth date, birthplace, or nationality. He's basically an undocumented weapons engineer with twin tails. And here's the wild part. Mission Street is actually a real street in San Francisco. Like, it's actually real. I had no idea about that till I was doing research for this video. I have no idea why, but I find that awesome. This is also where you get the hover upgrade, which lets the mech float downward instead of dropping like a brick. It works just like Gamma's hover from Sonic Adventure 1. Jump, hold the button, and glide. It's extremely useful here because platforms are constantly being destroyed, and the military is actively bombing the bridge to stop Tails. Gunn is absolutely going nuclear trying to take this kid down. And honestly, at this point, it kind of makes sense. Because if we treat Gunn like the real US military, which the game clearly wants us to, then Tails just isn't a cute fox in a mech. He's legally speaking a walking federal crime spree. Let's break down all the crimes this fox has committed so far. He broke into a classified military blacklist site, destroyed government robots and infrastructure, aided and abetted in the escape of a suspected terrorist, interfered with active military operation, evaded arrest using a combat mech, possessed and deployed an unregistered weapons-grade machine, and committed sabotage on federal property. And that's not even counting the fact that he's a genius engineer who can build aircraft, missiles, and mechs out of scrap metal. In real life, the government would treat him like a rogue weapons developer. So yeah, a $100,000 bounty is honestly a bargain at this point. The FBI has put bigger bounties on people who have skipped court dates. Tails basically broke into Alcatraz, blew up half their hardware, and moonwalked out of the base in a Gundam. No wonder Gunn is bombing the Golden Gate Bridge. They're not trying to stop a fox, they're trying to stop a one-fox army. Anyway, the level itself is fine, but the music... yeah, this is my least favorite track in the entire Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack. Which is saying something, because I love almost every single song in this game. It's just not my style. I don't think it fits the tone at all. It absolutely does not capture what is happening in the game, period. Tails is evading military capture, resisting arrest, and committing about 12 felonies per minute, and this is the music they put over that level? Tell me, does this fit at all? After Tails escapes from the military, the game immediately yanks us back to Knuckles, who has now wandered into some old flooded mine shaft called Aquatic Mine. And look, some people absolutely despise this level. I don't hate it. There's one coming up that I do hate, but this one is fine. It's not great, but it's not terrible. You see, for me, all the treasure hunting stages fall into one of two categories. The open and expansive ones, which are generally very good, and the cramped, small ones, which are always very bad. You would think the small ones would be better, right? Because, hey, less ground to cover. You can find the Master Emerald shards lickety-split, right? No, because all the small ones function like little mazes, and trying to find your way around them tends to be a real pain in the neck. And Aquatic Mine leans more towards the cramped side, which can make navigation a little annoying. And of course, it has the one gimmick everyone loves to complain about: water level switches. It's basically the water temple from Ocarina of Time all over again. You see, you raise and lower the water level using these little switches. Now, if you're lucky, you won't really have to touch these things. But if you get really unlucky and the emerald shards spawn all over the place, well, prepare to be raising and lowering that water level constantly. This level is also where you can find the air necklace, an upgrade that is technically optional, but realistically essential. On my completed save file, I already have it, but here's how you would get it when you first start the game. Lower the water level all the way down, head down to this shaft on the second level. Follow the cave in here all the way through, and when you get to the very top of it, you will find the air necklace. Trust me, you want this thing, especially for the end game. And because this is a Knuckles stage, that means we've got another rap track to analyze. Aquatic Mines dive into the mellow.
Everybody flow with me. This is your boy Knuckles, and this is Aquatic Mine. Come on, y'all. Let's take a dive in Aquatic Mine. Once was a cold pit, but now it's a water ride. Makes you wanna sit back, enjoy the life, and do things you like doing, get to shine.
The intro is classic Knuckles. He announces himself, he announces the level, and sets the vibe. He mentions the mine used to be a coal pit, which implies the flooding happened after the miners hit a water vein. Now it's basically a water park with ghosts.
Sure bees fighting with the foes all the time, but I gotta do it, they always stay out of line. Sometimes I wanna just chill and land, but I'm the protector of the emeralds and gems.
The next verse is Knuckles talking about how much he would love just to chill out, and the fact that he can't because people are constantly trying to steal the Master Emerald. A job which never seems to let him rest.
I stay knuckled up, I'm in a deep cut. I'm seeing skulls that burn, they tryna cut me off. Avoiding my luck, I'm feeling kinda stuck. I'm in narrow hallways, running like it's a ball game. Hand tracks be tracking me to.
The next verse is Knuckles describing the mine's confusing layout. When he's saying he's knuckled up and in a deep cut, he's basically saying he's on high alert. He's seeing weird stuff, burning skulls, narrow hallways, and dead ends. He has to be ready to punch anything that jumps out at him.
Tracks be tracking me to different doorways in a maze, and I don't know what to do. Guaranteed though, I'ma find the emeralds. Don't call me Knuckles for nothing, I can't lose. Sure.
Finally, he talks about the maze-like structure of the mine. The water levels, the branching tunnels, the shifting doorways. It's all confusing, but he's confident he'll find the Master Emerald Shards. After all, they don't call him Knuckles for nothing. Losing isn't an option. After Aquatic Mine, we swap back to Tails and Amy, who are hiding out somewhere in the city, while Sonic is still running from the cops. Tails tries to get a read on where the Chaos Emeralds are, but he can't pick up anything. So naturally, he assumes they must be in space. And to that I say, well, no freaking duh, dude. They're in space. Where did that giant laser cannon come from? The Earth? We literally saw it fire from a space station. So of course the Chaos Emeralds are up there. What, is Eggman supposed to beam up the energy from the ground all the way into orbit and then fire it? Come on, Tails! While they're trying to figure out where Eggman is hiding, Knuckles suddenly pops out of a manhole right under them. And this is what I like to call complete and utter plot contrivance. Yes, the level select map shows Knuckles moving west towards the city every level he does. But even then, the idea that the Aquatic Mine tunnels just happen to connect to the city sewer system and that Knuckles just happens to emerge from the exact manhole cover directly underneath Tails and Amy, that's beyond convenient. That's cosmic level contrivance. Anyway, at this point, Tails picks up a transmission from Eggman, and it's being sent directly to the president's limousine. So naturally, Tails decides he has to track down the president, and immediately takes off, and almost runs over Knuckles and Amy, and leaves them standing in the alleyway, as he jumps to his next level, Route 101. And Route 101 is a driving stage, and I'm just going to say it, I used to hate this level, and I still really don't like it. I can master it now. I've gotten the A ranks, and heck, during this playthrough, I actually got an A rank. But this level, and its dark side counterpart, drove me absolutely insane when I was going for 100% completion. The controls are either way too stiff when you're driving normally, or when you go to drift by tapping A, it becomes way too floaty. It's very obvious the driving stages didn't get that much development time, and why they're even here is a mystery to me. The objective of the level is super simple. Just drive through the highway and reach the president's limousine before you run out of time. So yeah, other than the completely wonky controls, it's pretty simple and boring. The music is also pretty boring. I mean, this has to be some of the most forgettable music I've ever heard in a Sonic game. Anyway, after the level, we cut to the president, who is on a video call with Eggman. Eggman's demands are exactly what you'd expect. Surrender your entire country to the Eggman Empire, or face annihilation. Pretty straightforward Eggman stuff. Then Sonic, a suspected terrorist, might I add, jumps into the president's limousine and tells him he has everything under control. Totally a normal and logical thing to do, Sonic. The president is definitely not going to freak out about this at all. Tails shows up, grabs the tracking data from the president's computer, and then they immediately bail, leaving the president and his secretary sitting there extremely confused. After Sonic and Tails get the information they need from the president's computer, they head out into the desert because Knuckles saw Eggman slip into the pyramid in the beginning of the game. So naturally they assume there must be something inside that'll help them get to the Space Colony Ark. Tails then goes off to find an entrance into the pyramid, which leads to his next level, Hidden Base. This stage has you working your way through the pyramid, blasting anything that gets in your way. The hover upgrade is extremely useful here because if you fall into the sand, it's instant death. Once you're experienced, it's not too hard to avoid. Though there are a couple of spots where bad enemy placement can cheap shot you. Overall, the level is pretty okay, but the music is absolutely fantastic. It sounds like it belongs in a spy movie. Honestly, I could play GoldenEye 007 to this track. It fits that well. After Hidden Base, we don't even get a transitional cutscene. The game just throws us straight into Sonic's next level, Pyramid Cave. And this is one of Sonic's best stages. You drop right in and infiltrate Eggman's base at full speed. There's hoops you can hop through for bonus points, and the level has you sprinting through the pyramid's hallways like you're on a mission. And I love that Eggman has plastered his face all over the ancient Egyptian architecture. Like, why vandalize such a priceless historical archaeological site? Either he wants future generations to believe the Eggman Empire built this pyramid, or he just really likes seeing his own face everywhere. Honestly, both are equally believable. Eggman is a narcissist to the core. This is also where you get the Bounce Bracelet, an upgrade that lets you bounce up and down to gain height and chain actions together. Overall, it's a pretty useful upgrade. And yes, it's mapped to the B button. Now, let's review everything that is mapped to the B button now. You have the Lightspeed Dash by tapping the B button near trail rings. You somersault by tapping the B button when you're not around a bunch of rings. You hold down the B button to spin dash. And lastly, in the air, you press the B button to do a bounce. That's right! All the special actions are tied to one button. Do you see the problem? The Dreamcast controller has more than 2 buttons. Why did they cram 4 major actions onto one? Seriously! Who in their right mind thought this was a good idea? Also, in this level, you'll see a lot more E-Series robots that look like Gamma. Turns out, Eggman kept that line of robots going, which I find to be a very neat little nod to Sonic Adventure 1. Also, do I even have to say it? The music in Pyramid Cave is amazing. It perfectly fits the vibe of infiltrating a secret base. Here, take a listen. So, after the Pyramid Cave level, Sonic and the gang run into a locked door. And instead of Tails just hopping into the mech and blasting it open, which would have solved the problem in 5 seconds, they decide, hey, let's make Knuckles do it. He can find the keys. Knuckles immediately asks the question we're all thinking.
What? Why do I have to find the key?
We're counting on you, buddy. The world's greatest treasure hunter.
And this leads us straight into the worst Knuckles stage in the game, and the second worst treasure hunting level in the entire game. There's only one stage that is worse than this. Everyone, welcome to Death Chamber, or as I like to call it, Torture Chamber. I hate this level. Take the slightly frustrating and confusing structure of Aquatic Mine and crank it all the way up to 11. Also, make it a giant confusing labyrinth of narrow corridors, dead ends, and hidden rooms you have to dig into, and almost zero open spaces, and what do you get? A torture device. Seriously, I believe this level should have been called Torture Chamber. Most treasure hunting levels take me about 5 minutes at the most. On this playthrough, after 100%ing the game, after mastering every stage in this entire game, and A-ranking all of them, Death Chamber still took me 11 minutes on this playthrough. That's how bad the layout is. Everything is cramped, everything is confusing, everything is hidden, and everything sucks. But before we're done suffering, we have to talk about the Knuckles rap for this level. So, let's analyze the lyrics to the song Deeper.
This is Knuckles, and you have reached the Death Chamber. From front to back, all I see is stones. I'm glad that I don't call this home. A lot of trick stuff that makes you fall into a trap. Eggman wants to steal us all, keep the emeralds and build a throne. Not if I can help at all, I will not let him take it over.
The song opens the same way they all do. Knuckles announces himself and the level, and basically says, yeah, I don't like this place. There are traps everywhere. I'm glad I don't live here, and honestly, I feel the same. Then he mentions Eggman wanting to steal us all, which is probably just awkward phrasing for steal all the emeralds. Eggman wants to use them to build his throne and rule the world. And Knuckles, if he can help it, is not letting that happen. That's the gist of the chorus here.
Sonic, what are you doing here? I heard you on a quest for the Master Emerald. You know me and you don't get along. I don't think that's the point right now, Knuckles. I know how much the Emerald means to you, and I want to help get it back. Stop being stubborn and think. Well, I guess you're right. You're damn right, Knuckles. I know Eggman's secret station's here somewhere. All we have to do is find it. I know we'll need a key to get inside. That's our only way to find it. So let's go.
Then we get to the verse, which is basically Knuckles recapping the plot. Sonic shows up, they bicker for a second, Sonic tells him to stop being stubborn, they agree they need to find Eggman's secret station. Sonic mentions they'll need a key to get inside, which is probably referencing the space shuttle hidden somewhere in the pyramid. Oh, yeah, Sonic and his friends just assume Eggman has a space shuttle in here, but later that assumption turns out to be right, so I guess we just roll with it. After Death Chamber, Knuckles gets thrown into a completely random boss fight. against a giant ghost called King Boom Boo, who just appears out of nowhere, and most players have no idea what this thing is or what it's supposed to be. Because the game gives you nothing. No lore, no setup, no explanation, just here's a giant ghost. Go fight it. But thanks to Tales Tube Episode 9, we actually have a possible backstory to King Boom Boo. Apparently, in the distant past, King Boom Boo was once a corrupt human king. Driven by greed, he led his men into what would eventually become the Hidden Base, searching for a talisman that granted eternal life, in exchange for a sacrifice. His plan? Sacrifice his loyal guards instead of himself. But as he approached the talisman, his guards were dragged into darkness one by one. Believing their deaths had paid the price, he grabbed the talisman, only to discover the real sacrifice was his own life. He transformed into a ghost and spent eternity trapped as a restless spirit, paying for his greed. It's a great story. It really is. But none of this shows up in Sonic Adventure 2. In the game, King Boom Boo just shows up, makes weird noises, and fights Knuckles. No context, no explanation, nothing. The boss fight itself is pretty simple. You run around, avoiding his attacks, and whenever he does this bizarre barfing move, you can hit the small ghost holding the hourglass. That opens the skylight, and since King Boom Boo hates sunlight, he panics and burrows underground. You then chase him, dig him out, punch him, and repeat the cycle up to 4 times. It's not a bad fight mechanically, but it's completely random and totally bizarre. After Knuckles beats King Boom Boo, everyone gets ready to board the space shuttle. And then Eggman shows up to stop them. And this time, instead of fighting a random ghost man, a boss fight shows up that actually makes sense. The Egg Golem. The Egg Golem is one of the best boss fights in the game, by the way. Unlike King Boom Boo, this one actually has some logic behind it. Eggman built a giant stone and metal golem to guard his base. The fight is fast, fun, and visually pretty awesome. You run around the arena, climb on the platforms on its back, and attack the weak point on its head. Just don't fall into the sand. If you do, you can mash the jump button like mad to keep Sonic from sinking. Grab a pulley, and get right back into the fight. Once you know what you're doing, it's not a hard boss fight at all, but it's an absolute blast. And both King Boom Boo and Egg Golem share one of the best boss themes in the entire game, Masters of the Desert. Outside of the last story boss, this is easily one of the strongest tracks in Sonic Adventure 2. At least instrumental tracks, I should say. I've listened to this song on my own time more times than I can count. Here, take a listen. It's awesome. After you win the fight, Sonic and his friends bolt to the space shuttle and take off to the Space Colony Ark. So the gang finally blast off towards the Ark and immediately crashes the shuttle into an asteroid. I have to ask, who was driving this thing? Because they suck. Where'd they learn to drive? Crazy Taxi? Anyway, the ship survives, but the impact blows open the cargo bay. And take a wild guess what was inside. Yes, the Master Emerald Shards. Knuckles' entire reason for existing. Just sitting loose in the cargo bay, like someone tossed them in there with the luggage. And well...
Is everyone alright? We should be landing soon.
The hatch doors are
Don't
open.
sweat it, Knuckles. The only thing in the cargo bay are those
What do you
Master
mean, don't
Emeralds.
sweat it?
Right?
Land the
Knock
shuttle
it
and
off,
let me
Knuckles.
out.
Yeah, Sonic, don't worry. It's only the most important object in Knuckles' entire life. I'm sure he'll take this super well.
Right?
Land the
Knock
shuttle
it
and
off,
let me
Knuckles.
out.
We're gonna crash this thing if you keep that up. Oh no! Don't touch that lever! Whoa!
After this, Knuckles bails immediately. And honestly, I don't blame him one bit. Sonic was being a real jerk. So Knuckles storms off to find the remaining Master Emerald Shards, leaving Sonic, Tails, and Amy to figure out how to stop Eggman's planet-destroying cannon. And this is where Tails comes up with a plan. He's going to infiltrate the Ark's interior and destroy the shield generators. Meanwhile, Sonic will take a fake Chaos Emerald. It's a near-perfect replica designed to overload the cannon and make it destroy itself once it's inserted into the core. It's actually a pretty good plan. We also learned that the Ark used to be one of the most advanced research facilities ever created, a massive scientific station orbiting the Earth. But a catastrophic accident happened 50 years ago, causing it to be shut down. Now it's a ghost station, with a doomsday laser strapped to it. With the plan set, Sonic and Tails run off, and leave Amy behind. And she is not thrilled.
I hate you! You guys always leave me behind and have all the fun!
This leads us into Tails' final level, Eternal Engine, and honestly, it's his absolute best stage. Eternal Engine is fantastic. You're blasting your way through the Ark's corridors, and the main gimmick is the dynamite packs. These explosive panels are scattered everywhere, and if you shoot them, they'll blow open an airlock and get you sucked out into space. It's not a level where you can just mash the shoot button. You have to aim carefully and think before you fire. And then there's the Omochao glitch. I haven't mentioned him before because, well, he's Omochao. He gives tutorials and he floats around. He's harmless and yeah, that's about it. But there's this one spot in Eternal Engine where you can blow open an airlock and send him flying into space. And he respawns instantly. And gets sucked out again. And he respawns. And he gets sucked out again. It's the funniest unintentional glitch in the entire game. You know the developers didn't plan for this at all. Oh, and the music? Easily the best Tails track in the entire game. On the Edge is just pure energy. Seriously, take a listen. Anyway, after Eternal Engine, Sonic is just about to place the fake emerald into the cannon, when he gets a call from Tails saying Amy is in danger. But in classic Sonic Adventure 2 fashion, the game immediately says, "Cool, cool." But what's Knuckles up to right now? This leads us into Knuckles' final stage, Meteor Herd. And this is hands down my favorite Knuckles level. It's massive, it's open, and it has way more verticality than any other stage. You get this huge asteroid structure near the bottom, floating platforms scattered under the arc, and an entire upper section you can go to. It's easily the biggest level in the entire game, no contest. And honestly, the environment itself is one of the coolest parts. You can see the arc's massive support towers stretching downward into space, the stars in the background. The whole level is just bathed in this surreal cosmic glow. It's gorgeous. Meteor Herd has some of the best visuals in the entire game. It's just a beautiful stage to look at, and the scenery alone makes it feel epic. And getting around is a breeze, thanks to all the jet rockets that can launch you upward. The whole stage feels like a giant playground built specifically for Knuckles' movement. And the music is the best Knuckles track in the entire game. Space Trip Meteor Steps is incredible. So let's break down the lyrics of Space Trip Meteor Steps.
It's your main man Knuckles, and we're Meteor Herd. You ready to go in space? Help me get the emeralds. Shot to space and left my homes. At least we are friends, and I'm not all alone. Bad day was that the emerald spilled. Got us so spaceman, time to get ill.
The intro is classic Knuckles. He announces himself, he announces the level, and he sets the vibe. At this point, basically every Knuckles rap starts this way. Here's who I am, here's where we are, here's what we're doing. And then we get to the first verse. He recaps the story so far. They took a shuttle into space, left their home behind, and at least he's with his friends, so he's not alone. And then the emerald shards spilled out of the ship, so now he has to search space. When he says time to get ill, that's 80s/90s hip-hop slang. In that context, ill means impressive, skilled, or awesome. Basically, Knuckles is hyping himself up.
What's this? Can't fly or climb. I just could float. Hope I don't die. Meteors coming my way. Weaving, gotta go straight. Any criminal, crime don't pay. Seeing the crazy little Eggman's face.
The next verse describes the level. Knuckles can't fly or climb in space, so he's just floating around and hoping he doesn't die. Meteors are flying at him, he's weaving through them, and he's trying to stay focused. Ain't a criminal, crime don't pay, is Knuckles asserting his moral code. He's a good guy. Even if he punches stuff now and asks questions, never. Oh, and seeing the crazy look on Eggman's face is Knuckles acknowledging how insane and unhinged Eggman is at this point in the story. Then we get to the repeated lines about not letting the meteors hit you or break your groove. It's basically Knuckles saying, stay focused, stay moving, and don't let anything throw off your rhythm. After Knuckles retrieves the Master Emerald shards, we immediately run into Rouge again, who is also hunting for the shards. Naturally, the two of them end up fighting, and it's just like every other character versus character fight in the game. It sucks. Just mash buttons like crazy, and eventually you'll win. Hopefully. Canonically, the fight ends in a draw. Both Knuckles and Rouge are exhausted. They start yelling at each other to hand over the Master Emerald pieces. They argue, and then Rouge slips and almost falls into lava. Knuckles then dives in and saves her. And I have one question. Rouge is a bat. She can fly. Did Knuckles actually save her, or did she just forget she had wings for a second? Either way, what happens next is basically every Knuckles Rouge shipper's favorite scene in the entire franchise. And honestly, it's better just to let the moment play out than to try to explain it. So, here.
Keep your hands to yourself. Don't touch me.
Is that how you say thanks to someone who just saved your life?
Saving my life. Don't think I owe you one. You just wanted to hold my hand, didn't you? That's why you saved me. You're such a creep.
This isn't a joke, you know. Think what you want, Batgirl. I was saving the Master Emerald.
No matter what you say, it sounds crazy.
What?
Fine, then just take them. They stink like echidnas do.
If that's what you thought, you should have given me them in the first place. Finally.
What?
I'm sorry if I hurt you.
We should get going.
And after this, we get the worst speed stage in the entire game. Crazy Gadget. Look, this level just sucks. I know some people swear this is the best stage in all of Sonic Adventure 2. And if you're one of them, please comment down below and explain why, because I genuinely do not understand. For starters, the gimmick is awful. The whole level revolves around pulling switches to change the gravity. And it's just a weird, sometimes annoying, sometimes boring mechanic. Like, why do we need this? The environment also is basically Eternal Engine, but with Sonic instead of Tails. And the gravity gimmick doesn't add anything except frustration. And I've heard you can do some goofy stuff with the gravity controls, so I tried messing around with it during this playthrough. And you know what happened? At first, I thought I was being clever. I flipped the gravity upside down and figured, hey, maybe I can reach the final puzzle room like this. You know, the puzzle room that looks like a Rubik's Cube from hell that you have to flip the switches around and do all the crazy gravity stuff? That one? Yeah, I thought if I entered it like this, I could pull off who knows what kinds of crazy stuff. But I found out, oh crap, I can't flip the switch when I'm on the ceiling. Sonic's feet actually have to touch the ground and touch the switch. No biggie, I'll just go back, flip the switch, and put the gravity back like how it's supposed to be, and then do the puzzle room. Problem, I died. And I respawned with the gravity upside down. And I was trapped in this room. Why? Because to open the door, you have to kill an enemy on the other side. And to open the other door, you have to flip the switch. Do you see the problem yet? I literally had to restart the entire level because of this. So yeah, I am not playing with the gravity in this stage anymore. Also, the music's just boring. Here, I'll let you listen to it for the sake of it, but I don't like this music at all. Anyway, after we beat this nightmare of a level, we get one of the best cutscenes in the entire story. Sonic confronts Eggman, who has a gun pointed at Amy's head, and Eggman tells Sonic to hand over the Chaos Emerald, or he's gonna kill Amy. Sonic thinks he's about to pull a fast one by giving Eggman the fake emerald, killing two birds with one stone, save Amy, and sabotage the cannon. Problem: Eggman then proceeds to pull a 5D chess move. He traps Sonic in a capsule and basically says, "You really thought you could trick me with a fake emerald?" And then Tails, bless his heart, asks Eggman how he knew it was a fake. Which is exactly how Eggman figured it out. Tails literally told him right there without realizing it. Eggman tricked him into giving away the information he needed. So now Eggman's plan is simple. Jettison Sonic into space and blow him up. He hits the button, the capsule launches, and it explodes. Amy and Tails think Sonic is dead. Amy breaks down crying, and Tails, absolutely devastated, decides he's gonna take on Eggman by himself. This leads to the Tails vs. Eggman boss fight, and unlike most character battles, this one actually has a little bit of strategy to it. You can dodge attacks, wait for openings, and even hit Eggman up close if you're bold. Pro tip: when Eggman fires his big laser attack, that's your moment. Circle around him, lock on, and fire. Eggman can't dodge during the attack. As long as you're halfway decent at the game, Eggman will go down no problem. So, how did Sonic survive being jettisoned into space in a capsule that blew up? Well, Sonic used the fake emerald to perform Chaos Control, the same move he saw Shadow use earlier in the story. How did he learn it from watching it once? No idea. What even is Chaos Control anyway? Because the games can't seem to decide. Is it teleportation? Time travel? Time slow down? Personally, I treat Chaos Control as the writer's emergency fix button. Need to fix a plot hole? Chaos Control it. Need to teleport someone? Chaos Control. Need to explain something that makes absolutely no sense? Use Chaos Control. Anyway, Sonic uses the fake emerald to teleport into the Ark, appearing right behind Knuckles. He tells Knuckles to take care of Amy and Tails, while he goes to stop the cannon by inserting the fake emerald into the core before it can fire. Which raises a question. Sonic, weren't you literally just at the cannon 10 minutes ago? Couldn't you have inserted the fake emerald then? I mean, you were literally right in front of the cannon, then gone and confronted Eggman. But whatever, we're here now. This leads into Sonic's final level, Final Rush. Final Rush is an absolutely fantastic stage, and many people consider it the best speed stage in the entire game. Personally, I prefer the Dark Side story counterpart, Final Chase, but Final Rush is still pretty decent. Throughout the level, you're suspended over a bottomless pit for about 90% of it, and the entire stage revolves around rail grinding. Sure, rail grinding has been in the game the whole time, but this is the first stage where it becomes the main mechanic. The openness is insane. There are so many skips, shortcuts, and crazy tricks you can pull off. It's easily one of the most open and free-form levels in the entire game. And yes, you can die very easily if you're careless. And yes, the rail grinding can glitch out on the occasion, but once you know what you're doing, you can minimize the nonsense deaths and enjoy the flow of the level. Notice I said minimize. You cannot avoid them entirely. Yes, you will still die from bullshit deaths on the occasion, no matter what you do. And the music, while it's not the best Sonic track, it's still really good. And it's most certainly better than Crazy Gadget's theme. After Final Rush, we arrive at the final boss of the Hero Side story, Sonic vs. Shadow. Shadow intercepts Sonic on his way to the cannon, and the two of them have this iconic pre-fight exchange.
You never cease to surprise me, Blue Hedgehog. I thought that capsule you were in exploded in space.
You know, what can I say? I die hard. You actually saved me, you know.
It was a Chaos Emerald, wasn't it? But there's no way you could have activated the Chaos Control using an emerald that's fake. So, there's more to you than just looking like me. What are you, anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
I see. But you know, I can't let you live. Your adventuring days are coming to an end.
The battle itself takes place on what is essentially an infinite highway, floating in space. Rings are everywhere, so you're never in danger of running out, and the only real ways to die are falling off the edge, getting knocked off, or accidentally jumping into the void. It's not an easy fight at all. Shadow can counter most of your moves pretty easily, and landing hits on him is actually really hard. The only consistent methods I have found are lightspeed dashing a trail of rings when Shadow happens to teleport in the middle of them, and attacking Shadow whenever he does one of his special moves. And neither of those happen very often. So, yeah, this fight can take a while if you're not careful. The fight even has a lyrical track for True Story. And the lyrics are unusual. Look, I would love to break them down right now, but I'm saving that for when we talk about the Dark Side story. As to fully understand these lyrics, you need to know a lot about Shadow's backstory, and trust me, we'll get to that pretty soon. But for now, we gotta finish up the Hero Side story. So after Sonic defeats Shadow, and Tails defeats Eggman, Sonic finally manages to place the fake emerald into the cannon, overloading it and destroying it. Eggman does manage to escape with the real emerald, but the cannon is gone, so I don't know what he's going to do with it. And Tails and Amy, they end up celebrating when they see Sonic is alive. And he gives them a big thumbs up from this weird little tower thing on the space colony. Look, am I the only one getting Star Wars Episode 5? Luke hanging on to the bottom of Cloud City vibes here? And that brings us to the end credits of the Hero Side story. The Hero Side story is definitely an interesting experience, but it leaves us with a lot of questions, especially about the villains and their motivations. I mean, Eggman's motivation is simple. He wants to take over the world. But Rouge, and especially Shadow, Their stories aren't even told here at all. All we know about Rouge is she's a jewel thief, and we know nothing about Shadow, other than the fact that he's the ultimate life form. Whatever in the heck that means. But that, my friends, is where the dark side story comes in.
Eggman steals the research from a military base located on an island to the south. The military's top-secret weapon, Shadow, sealed in the space colony Park, the 7 Chaos Emerald. When all of the keys have been collected, world conquest will be ahead. Sonic Adventure 2, The Dark Side Story. Long live the Eggman Empire.
So now we jump into the dark side story. And it actually starts before the hero side story. So, how does it begin? With Eggman busting into a military base, of course. Classic Eggman behavior. And what's he here for? Well, apparently, the military is storing a top-secret weapon created by his grandfather, Professor Gerald Robotnik. And Eggman's goal is, I guess, to reclaim it or steal it. I don't really know exactly what the situation is. I mean, he's either A, retrieving a family heirloom, or robbing the government. Who knows? It's Eggman. And if we asked him, he would probably just say yes. That brings us to his first level, Iron Gate. The first level of the Dark Side story, and a great introduction to Eggman's gameplay. He uses the same style of gameplay as Tails, and it's a ton of fun. The level doesn't really have any gimmicks, you just blow up everything that gets in your way. Robots, blow them up. Doors, blow them up. Doors you can't blow up? No problem. Just shoot the computer next to the missile, and it magically fires a missile to clear the way. Is that how computers and missiles work? Absolutely not. But hey, it's a video game. Environment-wise, there's not much to say. It's mostly just hallways, metal corridors, and bland rooms. It's very bland as far as visuals go, but it gets the job done as a tutorial stage. The music, though, is pretty solid. Eggman's musical style is industrial rock and metal, and it fits him very well. After Eggman blasts his way through the facility, he finally reaches the core of the base and makes his way to a control panel. And apparently, the top secret password for the military's top secret weapon is Maria. Yeah, you'd think the government might come up with something that's a little more secure than that. That's like back when I was a teenager and I named all my passwords after my girlfriend. Yeah, that was an absolute nightmare to change after we broke up. Anyway, Eggman then inserts the Chaos Emerald into the console, and guess who shows up out of the pod? Shadow the Hedgehog.
Are you trying to spoil my plan?
Eggman, what? How? How do you mistake these two? They look nothing alike. I'm going to chalk this up to this part of the story was made during the early drafts. Back when Shadow was still Terios. Anyway, Shadow is one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise, and now he's awake. And he immediately proves just how much of a badass he is by taking out the guard robot that storms in to stop them. And the boss fight itself is basically Bigfoot from Sonic's story. Same strategy, same mechanics, except now you're playing as Shadow and the arena looks different. That's it. That's the entire change. After the fight, Eggman is stunned by Shadow's sheer badassery, and he's just standing there in awe, while Shadow casually tells him to gather the Chaos Emeralds and meet him at the Space Colony Ark's control room. Shadow then walks off to do who knows what, leaving Eggman confused, intrigued, and probably questioning everything that's led up to this moment. Right after that, we get the same cutscene we saw in the Hero Side story, where Knuckles confronts Rouge about her stealing the Master Emerald. The only real difference here is instead of Knuckles' theme, unknown from ME, playing in the background, we get Rouge's theme, Fly in the Freedom, playing in the background. Otherwise, everything's the same. Knuckles and Rouge argue, Eggman tries to steal the Master Emerald, Knuckles smashes it, and both of them head off to find the shards. Except this time, instead of going to Wild Canyon, we head to Dry Lagoon, Rouge's first stage. Rouge plays exactly like Knuckles, with her treasure hunting gameplay. She has a radar, digging, climbing. The only real difference is that she kicks instead of punches. And Dry Lagoon is actually a pretty decent stage. First off, the environment is pretty nice. You're in this beautiful oasis in the middle of the desert, and the main gimmick involves a giant turtle. You free the turtle from some robots, it swims into the water, and then you can ride on its back between two separate oasis areas. It's a neat little mechanic, and I think it adds some charm to the stage. The level is pretty small though. You'll probably finish it in just a couple of minutes, and it feels even smaller than Wild Canyon. But it's greener and prettier, and has a way more interesting layout. There's even a hidden area you can reach by riding a turtle underwater. I didn't even know it existed until this playthrough. Though, can someone please explain to me why there's a random spring underwater here, in this hidden section? It serves absolutely no purpose. It's like the developers just tossed it in there for fun. Overall, Dry Lagoon is a great first level for Rouge, and a solid treasure hunting stage, and the music is fantastic. Rouge's musical style is jazz, and the theme fits the stage perfectly. Here, take a listen. Also, now would be a good time to talk about Rouge as a character, because she's one of my favorites in the series, right next to Shadow the Hedgehog. But probably not for the reasons most people assume. A lot of people like Rouge because, well, they see boobs. And most men, when they see boobs, and another thing I don't really get. The Dreamcast didn't have that much RAM or processing power, yet the developers still decided to give her jiggle physics. Why? As someone who designs video games himself, jiggle physics are not easy to implement. So why did they waste precious and limited resources on jiggle physics for a bat in a kid's video game? I mean, I guess maybe they were trying to attract a more mature audience with the good old-fashioned classic trick, sex sells. But who knows? Personally, though, I like Rouge because she's genuinely a really cool character. She has a great personality, she's snarky, has sass, confident, and her obsession with Jules is absolutely hilarious. She also, as we find out later, is a government spy, which makes her way more interesting in my opinion. And while her character really shines in later games, she's still pretty good here. Dry Lagoon is a solid introduction to her gameplay, but it's also a nice introduction to who she is. Stylish, clever, mischievous, and way more than just the bat with the big boobs. Anyway, after Dry Lagoon, we jump into Eggman's next stage, Sand to Ocean. And this stage is interesting, that's for sure. On your first playthrough, this stage is gonna suck. The sand is instant death if you fall into it. The platforms are narrow, and there are tons of opportunities to slip and miss a jump, or to get knocked off by a stray shot. One mistake and you're done. It can feel pretty brutal. But here's the twist. Once you get the hover upgrade, which you don't get until later in the story, but once you do, this level opens up in a big way. Suddenly, those risky jumps aren't so terrifying, and the whole stage feels way more enjoyable. Gameplay-wise, it's similar to Tails' hidden base level. Lots of platforms, lots of shooting, and lots of gun robots to blow up. This one takes place at night, which gives it a way cooler, more atmospheric vibe. Eggman... Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the story reason Eggman is here. Basically, Eggman goes back to his base and sees a bunch of gun robots wandering around. He's not happy about it, so he's gonna blow them up before he goes into his base. Yeah, that's basically what's going on in this level, which is actually pretty funny when you think about it. Also, the music here is pretty good. It fits the level perfectly, even though it's nowhere near as fast-paced or as heavy as some of Eggman's other level themes. Here, take a listen. After Eggman clears out all the gun robots in the desert, he heads back into his base and starts watching the news to figure out what's going on. And who shows up on TV? None other than Shadow the Hedgehog. Apparently, he stole a Chaos Emerald from a bank. Why does a bank have a Chaos Emerald? I have no idea. But Shadow stole it, and that's all that matters. And, of course, everyone thinks Shadow is Sonic, because apparently the entire human population is colorblind and can't tell the difference between black and red and blue. And this is where we get to take control of Shadow the Hedgehog again. However, right before the level starts, Shadow does get a flashback of someone named Maria. And we finally get what his motivation is, right here.
I still remember what I promised you. For the people of this planet, I promise you. Revenge!
And it's... revenge. Yeah. Not very descriptive, are you, buddy? Well, we'll learn more about his motivation later. For now, it's time for Radical Highway, Shadow's first true level. And honestly, the moment you see the objective break through the besieging military, you know this is gonna be awesome. This level feels like it was tailor-made for Shadow. The environment the level takes place in is incredible. It's nighttime in San Francisco, and the whole city is lit up in the background. And you're sprinting across highways and the Golden Gate Bridge while the military tries to blow you up with jets, and Shadow is wiping out gun robots left and right. I mean, this whole level just screams Shadow the freaking Hedgehog. And the music also helps this fact. The music is just so great. It's like this metal electronic hybrid mix, and it fits Shadow perfectly. Here, take a listen. Heck, there are actually references to other Sega games in here, like Highways pointing towards Amigo. This is a reference to Sammy the Amigo, a reference to the game of the same name. And buildings with the giant head of Nights from Nights into Dreams. Both are really cool Easter eggs. And after we finish the level, we just see the same cutscene that we saw in the Hero Side story, where Sonic and Shadow first met. So, not much to talk about there. But do you want to know where there is a lot to talk about? The next level, Egg Quarters. Rouge's second stage. This is basically the Dark Side story equivalent of Knuckles' Death Chamber. Except it's nowhere near as painful. Honestly, I prefer Egg Quarters over Death Chamber any day. The goal is simple. Find 3 keys to unlock a massive vault door. And unlike the Hero Side story, it actually makes sense here. Because no one here has a giant mech just standing around to blow open the door. The main gimmick of the level is the Beetles. These little surveillance drones are invincible. If they spot you, they fire lasers at you. Your only options are to hide behind walls or stay in shadows. And speaking of shadows, Rouge has a unique idle animation where she crouches down in this sneaky position in the darkness if she's not moving while in a shadow. It's something I didn't even notice until this playthrough. And it's a neat touch that fits the level perfectly. And some people absolutely hate Egg Quarters, but I'll take this level over Death Chamber any day. Also, the music is fantastic. It has this jazzy spy feel to it that suits the level perfectly. After the level, Rouge finds a teleporter. Yes, Eggman has a teleporter just sitting around. Apparently, it can send you straight to the Space Colony Ark for whatever reason. What's wild is that the game never treats this like a world-shattering invention, like it is. Eggman has mastered instantaneous matter transmission, a technology that'll let him outmaneuver Sonic, bypass every security system on Earth, and basically let him win forever. And the series never mentions it again. Not once. It's the ultimate Chekhovanian's gun that the writers immediately threw in the trash. Anyway, Rouge then uses the teleporter to reach the Space Colony Ark, where Eggman is already exploring, which leads us into Eggman's next level, Lost Colony. In this level, Eggman has to make his way to the control room of the Ark, which is still inoperational at this point. So all the lights are off, and the level environment is very similar to Tails' Eternal Engine, but with a different gimmick: darkness. The only way to light up your surroundings is by shooting enemies, which briefly illuminates the area. Now, every port of this game after the Dreamcast version completely screws up the lighting, so the gimmick doesn't really work anymore. But in the original Dreamcast version, which is the version I prefer to play, it's dark. Like, you can only see about 2 feet in front of you at any given time. Shooting enemies becomes your whole flashlight, and it gives the whole level a creepy, abandoned atmosphere vibe. The music also helps. It's another very slow Eggman track that fits the mood of the level perfectly. After clearing the stage, Eggman reaches the center of the arc and meets Shadow. This is where Shadow finally explains why they need the Chaos Emeralds. Turns out Eggman's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, built a giant planet-destroying cannon. Why did he build a space station capable of destroying planets? No idea. Maybe he was bored, maybe he was insane, maybe he wanted to make a Death Star before that was the cool thing to do. Who knows? But since the cannon has been dormant for decades, the only way to power it back up is with all 7 Chaos Emeralds. And that's why Shadow and Eggman need to collect them. Rouge then casually drops in and totally acts like she didn't just sneak onto this top secret, very few people know about it, space station to spy on Eggman, and offers him a deal. She'll help him find the emeralds if he gives her the Emerald Radar, so she can track the Master Emerald Shards. And Eggman and Shadow are just like, cool, we'll do that. And just like that, the Dark Team is officially assembled. Right after the Dark Team officially forms, Rouge tells Eggman and Shadow where the next 3 Chaos Emeralds are. Prison Island. Eggman immediately comes up with a plan. He'll cause chaos and destruction across the military base, creating a distraction. Rouge will then sneak into the vault and steal the emeralds, and Shadow will plant bombs around the island so that once Rouge has the goods, they can all escape while the island explodes behind them. Honestly, it's a pretty solid plan. This leads us into Eggman's next level, Weapons Bed. And a lot of people love this level, and I get why. You're basically tearing through the military harbor, blowing up everything in sight. Storage robots, jet planes, if it exists, you can probably blow it up. And there are no gimmicks, no puzzles, nothing fancy. It's pure go from point A to point B and blow up everything along the way. And the music? It's pretty damn good. Here, take a listen. After Weapons Bed, the team is about to move on when Amy shows up out of nowhere and she somehow mistakes Shadow for Sonic. Girl, Are you freaking colorblind? Also, Rouge's reaction to this is priceless. Most people probably miss it, but her facial expression here is just great. Anyway, Eggman decides he'll take care of Amy, which leads to Tails showing up just like he did in the hero side story to save her. Their boss fight is basically the same here as before, just you're playing as Eggman instead of Tails this time. After the fight, Eggman decides to change the plan. Instead of 30 minutes, they now have 15 minutes. And Rouge says one of the most iconic lines in the Dark Side story, and one of the most rage-inducing ones.
5 minutes should be plenty. Here I go.
Which brings us to Security Hall. Security Hall has a 5-minute time limit, and it can be brutal. The emerald locations are randomized like they are in all treasure hunting stages, so if you're lucky, they'll spawn in easy spots. Other times, that timer becomes your absolute worst enemy. Despite the level being tiny, I've run the clock out here more than once. To make things worse, many of these vaults are locked, so you have to activate switches on the top floor and come back down to the bottom floor to open them. Thankfully, the emeralds don't spawn in vaults often, but when they do, it's annoying as all hell. But one thing I noticed in the level, which I got some amusement out of, is these fans on the bottom floor that lift you up if you jump into them actually have money they're blowing around. Yeah, there's just loose money in this giant vault, which I find absolutely hilarious. Also, the music for this level absolutely fits. Here, take a listen. After grabbing the emeralds, Rouge is intercepted by a gun mech. Now this one is actually unique because it never lands. It's called Flying Dog, and it stays airborne during the entire fight. You have to use Rouge's flight ability to hit the cockpit. Once you figure out the pattern, it's not that bad, but the first time around, it's pretty rough. After defeating the mech, Rouge gets locked inside the vault, with no way out. Shadow hears this over the radio, and suddenly, he gets another flashback of Maria. Something inside him just clicks. He can't explain it, he doesn't know what happens, he just can't let Rouge die. So, of course, he runs to go save her. This leads us into Shadow's next level, White Jungle. Easily one of my favorite speed stages in the entire game. Honestly, I prefer this stage over Green Forest. For one, the environment is much better. It actually feels like a real jungle. You see, real jungles are humid, misty, and dense. And White Jungle nails that vibe perfectly, with the rain, the fog, and the atmosphere. It really feels like you're racing through a tropical island right before it blows sky high. Other than that, the level design is very much a remixed version of Green Forest. Long stretches built for speed, vines to swing on, and a ton of momentum-based platforming. There aren't any rails to grind in this level, like there were in Sonic's version, but honestly, that's not much of a loss to me. The level plays just perfectly without them. And the music for this level is straight up incredible. It's a drum and bass track called Rhythm and Balance, and it actually has lyrics. Now, most people have no idea what the heck this song is saying. and they can't even understand what's being said because the lyrics are distorted. But I will do my very best to analyze the lyrics and give you an accurate interpretation of their meaning. Okay, I'm sure that was confusing, but let me explain what it means. Hurrying to the unexplored land is basically Shadow telling himself, charge forward into danger. Don't hesitate and ignore the consequences. Basically, he's hyping himself up before doing something absolutely reckless. And the claims of, I'm not scared, those are his fears of failing Maria, fears of not knowing himself, fears of caring about Rouge, and fears of making the wrong choice. Every time the song insists, I'm not scared, he's actually revealing the opposite. Shadow is lying to himself so he can stay focused. And lastly, I don't want to hear you. He's shutting out any self-conscious doubt he may have deep down in his subconscious. Make sense? Great. Let's get to the rest of the song. When the song says, Shadow, don't make me upset, it's not another character speaking. It's Shadow talking to himself. It's like an internal argument of someone running on adrenaline and trauma. He's scared of failing someone. I personally think he's scared of failing Maria, though it is possible this line is talking about Gerald Robotnik. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Personally, I'm going for he's scared of failing Maria and not fulfilling his promise to her. The actual promise, not the whole revenge thing. As, surprise, we find out later in the story, Maria didn't want Shadow to kill the entire planet. After White Jungle, we have to face off against Sonic in the jungle. It's the same Sonic versus Shadow fight from the Hero Side story, except this time you're playing as Shadow. Other than that, this fight goes exactly like it did in the Hero Side story. And after they fight and Sonic realizes, wait a second, this place is about to go kaboom, Shadow runs off to save Rouge. And he gets there literally just in time. I mean, we're talking one more second and both Rouge and the Emeralds would have gone kablooey. Shadow swoops in, pulls her out of the vault using chaos control, and the two of them escape right as the island explodes. After this, we get another scene of Shadow thinking back on Maria. And now things finally start to click into place. The game itself doesn't explain everything, but the manual helps fill in a majority of the gaps. So let's break it down. Maria is Dr. Eggman's cousin. And when she was young, she contracted an incurable disease called neuroimmunodeficiency syndrome. Basically, this universe's version of AIDS. Back in the 90s and the very early 2000s, there was no cure for this disease. So Maria was unfortunately not in a good position. Because of this, her grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, brought her aboard the space colony Ark to try and develop a cure for her disease. She had to be isolated from Earth's pathogens, which meant she couldn't leave the Ark's medical wing. So she was confined in space, and the low gravity is the only thing that kept her condition in check. Despite all the medical help she received, though, she was only growing weaker over time. And while looking down at the Earth from the Ark, Maria longed to return home and see the world she was never allowed to experience. Gerald created Shadow, the ultimate life form, in hopes of finding a cure for Maria's illness. And not long after he created Shadow, Maria and him became best friends. She is without exaggeration the most important person in Shadow's life. And trust me, this plays heavily into why I'm so attached to Shadow as a character, and why I relate to him so much. But we'll get into that later. Something happened to Maria though, and we'll uncover that later. But for now, Rouge interrupts Shadow's flashback, and the two share a surprisingly gentle moment.
Why so melancholy? That was so unexpected, so unlike you, Shadow, to come and rescue me. But your ability to use the chaos control certainly comes in handy.
You know, I didn't come to save you. I came back for the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, but then again, that's not the whole story, is it?
Yeah, right, Shadow. You totally went back for the emeralds. It's not like they would have totally survived the explosion. It's not like, with Eggman's tech especially, you could have easily retrieved them from the wreckage of the island. After this, Eggman shows up, and we get the infamous blow up the moon scene. Even with only 6 emeralds, they still managed to obliterate half the moon. And this is where we get the aftermath of the attack. And this is where things get weird. You see, in the hero side story, we hear the president's secretary say this.
Mr. President, reports show that since the incident 3 hours ago, the country is in turmoil. Our financial communities are impacted, and our satellite communications are down. An emergency meeting has been called. Mr. President, this is a national crisis.
But in the dark side story, Shadow says this.
Something happened?
Our threats fell on deaf ears.
Look at you, throwing a tantrum like a little kid. How totally embarrassing.
How can both be true? This is a clear contradiction. And I don't ever hear anyone bring this up in Sonic Adventure 2 reviews, and it drives me nuts. But whatever. Also, the idea that the entire world just watches half the moon get obliterated and just shrugs. Yeah, no, that's not happening. I mean, America alone. I'm using America as an example because I'm from America, okay? My country crossed the freaking Delaware River in sub-zero temperatures on Christmas Eve to go kill the shit out of their enemies in their sleep. You know exactly what America would do if someone blew up the moon.
America,
Anyway, after the moon exploding spectacle, Rouge reveals where the last Chaos Emerald is. Tails has it. He apparently got it after saving Station Square in the first Sonic Adventure, which is a really cool callback to the first game. Eggman then orders Rouge to go find the Chaos Emerald, while he and Shadow walk off. And then we get the bombshell that Rouge is working for someone. She's not just treasure hunting, she's working for someone trying to get intel on the ultimate life form. Who is she working for? We don't know yet. All we know is she's getting paid in jewels, because of course she is. After this, we get Rouge's next stage, Route 280. And yeah, I don't like this level at all. It's basically Route 101, but harder. Same mechanics, same controls, same music, just more annoying. The level is literally the same concept as Tails' driving stage, except now the difficulty is cranked up more, and the road design is somehow even worse. There are literally giant gaps in the highway that you can fall through. Whoever designed these roads clearly wasn't thinking straight. Like, why are there massive holes in the middle of it? This would not pass any kind of inspection whatsoever.
Everybody stop what you're doing, please! Stop it! Stop what you're doing! I'm Axel Foley, Beverly Hills Building Inspector. Everybody stop what you're doing. I'd like to speak with your foreman, please. Everyone stop. You, put the bucket.
Whatever construction crew built this was clearly not licensed. I will say the objective is slightly different. Instead of chasing down the president's limousine, you're instead trying to chase down Tails' plane by driving on the road. Huh. Well, I guess it's a good thing that Tails is flying very close to the road for whatever reason. Yeah, this level just makes no sense. Also, the music is exactly the same as Tails' driving level, so I can't even give the level points for that, unfortunately. It's overall just a bad level. Next up is Skyrail, Shadow's third stage, and it's the shortest speed stage in the entire game. But despite its length, it's a lot of fun. The stage takes place in a desert canyon, and I'm pretty convinced it's somewhere near Pumpkin Hill. A ton of the assets from Pumpkin Hill show up here, and in one of the cutscenes, you can actually see the church from Pumpkin Hill off in the distance. So yeah, I'm calling it. This is right next to Pumpkin Hill. The level itself is fun though, but narratively, it absolutely makes no sense. Remember how Rouge was driving a car to chase down Tails in the tornado? Well, now Shadow is trying the exact same thing, except now he's on foot in a canyon with rails. I don't know what it is with this series and trying to get its characters to chase down aircraft on foot. I mean, Sonic tried something similar in Sonic Adventure 1 with Red Mountain, and we all saw how that went. Seriously, guys, this doesn't work, so why do you keep trying to do it? Gameplay-wise, Skyrail is simple. You run through the canyon, grind on rails, as the name suggests, and that's basically it. It's short, it's fast, and it's over before you know it. Interestingly, Skyrail wasn't originally meant to be a Shadow stage. If you look at some early trailers of the game, Sonic is the one running through Skyrail, not Shadow. And honestly, that makes sense, because the music here doesn't sound like a Shadow track at all. The song is called Mr. Unsmiley, which sounds shadowy-ish, but the track itself feels like a Sonic track. Here, take a listen. hit Eggman, and unlike the rest of his team, he actually does something smart. He intercepts Sonic and the gang when they get to the hidden base. And this is where he unleashes the Egg Golem on them. And am I the only one who thinks this cutscene looks creepy? The camera zooms out from the Golem's point of view, and Sonic's eyes, for some reason, have no pupils. The whole thing just feels unsettling. Then we get an abridged version of Sonic's Egg Golem fight. Sonic bonks the thing on the head, it malfunctions, and immediately turns on Eggman, which leads to this wonderfully memorable moment that everyone knows.
When Sonic struck his head, he must have broken the restraining mechanism. What a piece of junk!
I'm just living by my own feelings. I won't give in.
This transitions into Eggman's version of the Egg Golem fight. And it's very different from Sonic's. Sonic has to climb the thing and hit it on the head. Eggman just shoots it, breaks its armor, and then blasts weak points. Same boss, same attacks, but it's a totally different strategy to take it down. A neat way to use the different playstyles in this game. After this, Sonic and his crew escape and make it to the Ark. Eggman radios Rouge and tells her that they escaped. Rouge, being Rouge, says she can handle them and tricks Eggman into giving her the password to the Space Colony Ark's computer. She claims she needs it to stop Sonic, but really, she just wants information on the ultimate life form. And the Ark's password is Maria. Who would have guessed? Rouge pokes around in the computer system and finds some interesting stuff. And then there are Master Emerald readings suddenly. Because remember in the hero side story, they fell out of the spaceship, so of course she's going after them. Which leads us to the last Rouge level, and the level everyone hates, the level everyone saw coming, and the level I'm dreading to play.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 Oh, man! Oh, God! Oh, man! Oh, God! Oh, man! Oh, God! Oh, man! Oh, God! Oh, man!
Mad Space. The most excruciating, painful, rage-inducing level in the entire game. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to turn on censor mode while I talk about it because it's that damn bad. I hate this level, and so do most Sonic Adventure 2 fans. Why does this level suck? Oh, let me go over it with you. First off, every asteroid has a gravitational field. That means you can't freely fly between asteroids. No, you have to find a rocket on each individual asteroid and use it to launch yourself off. And sometimes the gravity bugs out and messes with Rouge's controls. But that's not the worst part. The level is huge, like massive, and most of it is empty space. You will spend a long, long time flying through absolute nothingness, trying to find even one emerald shard. And if you accidentally drift onto a gravity field of one of the wrong asteroids, congratulations! Now you have to find the rocket on that asteroid to escape. Oh, and the hint monitors? They're reversed! Every hint is backwards! Because this level wasn't already painful enough already. The music is fine, I guess. It's... Took me over 10 minutes to find all the emerald shards in this level, and every second felt like suffering. Believe me, I hate Mad Space, and I never ever want to play it again. And then we get the Knuckles versus Rouge fight, except this time you're playing as Rouge against Knuckles. It's basically the same fight as in the hero story, with one hilarious exception. Since when can Knuckles summon lightning? Yeah, in this boss fight, Knuckles suddenly has the ability to call down lightning bolts, like he's auditioning for a Final Fantasy game. Where did this come from? What gives him the power to summon lightning? It's completely random, it's never explained, and it's never used again. I have no idea why they gave him this attack, but here we are. Aside from Knuckles' surprising weather control powers, everything else plays out exactly the same. Rouge almost falls into the lava, Knuckles saves her, they have their little moment, and the scene wraps up just like it did in the hero side story. After this, we cut back to Eggman and Shadow, who are still on Earth in the hidden base. Eggman wonders where Rouge is for all of 15 seconds before realizing something strange. His scanners are picking up 2 Chaos Emeralds, but he already has 6 of them, and there are supposed to be 7 in total. That means one of the emeralds is a fake. This is how he knew in the hero side story that Tails' emerald was a counterfeit. His machine detected 2 identical signatures, so one of them had to be bogus. Shadow originally was planning to go confront Sonic and the others on the colony, but Eggman decides that he's gonna be the one to finish Sonic off and retrieve the real emerald. This leads to Eggman's final stage, Cosmic Wall. And honestly, this is probably the best Eggman level in the entire game. The controls are floaty in a good way. Because the Arc has lower gravity, Eggman jumps way higher and the hover gives him even more height. And it makes the whole stage feel very different from every other mech level. There are also tons of enemies to blow up, like tons. The level is long and packed with targets, and full of platforming sections that feel surprisingly smooth thanks to the floaty physics. Some people complain about the level's length, but I think it's great. Because of the low gravity, it's almost impossible to fall into a bottomless pit. That is, unless you're really, really stupid. The music is absolutely epic too. It is honestly my favorite Eggman track. Here, take a listen. After clearing the stage, Eggman finds Amy, who Sonic and Tails left completely alone in the Ark. Eggman holds her at gunpoint, which leads to the hostage situation we saw in the hero side story. Sonic gets launched out of the capsule, Tails panics, and we get the Eggman vs. Tails boss fight again. Except this time, you're playing as Eggman. And yeah, everything plays out exactly the same as it did in the hero side story. We've covered this already. after the Tails fight, Rouge shows back up on the Ark and is about to steal the 6 Chaos Emeralds. And honestly, it's probably best just to show the cutscene here, because it's a lot of information getting dumped all at once, and it's easier just to watch it than to explain it.
Legend has it when all 7 Chaos Emeralds are collected, the power creates a miracle. I have 6 of them. They're mine. All mine.
I don't think so.
Shadow.
So that was your plan from the very beginning, huh? Or was it a direct order from the president? Now I know who you are. You're that government spy, Rouge the Bat, aren't you?
So you did your homework, is that it? I would say that's an invasion of privacy.
I could say the same thing about you.
It looks like things aren't quite going your way, but since my job was done, I thought it was time to take what's mine and get out of this place.
You are one pathetic creature.
Look who's talking. What about you? Here are the results of the research project called the Ultimate Life Form. But if this picture is of the real Ultimate Life Form named Shadow, then exactly who or what is standing in front of me?
This is Dr. Eggman. I have found all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Shit. Someone's trying to get out of Eclipse Cannon. There's not much time left before the cannon fires again. Can you get over there?
If you want to live, leave the Chaos Emeralds where they are. The fake emerald is good enough for you.
Do you actually believe that you're the real Shadow?
No doubt.
Even your memories might not be real, you know?
Even if my memories are not real, it's still me, Shadow. And I will fulfill my promise to Maria. That's the only thing that matters to me now.
And this leads us into Shadow's final level, Final Chase. Some people absolutely hate this level, but I freaking love it! It's way better than Final Rush. I don't know what all you guys are talking about. And if you want to know why, for starters, it has far fewer cheap deaths. Yes, you can still die from the game being stupid, but it happens way less often than in Final Rush, where half the level feels like it's actively trying to murder you, for so much as breathing wrong. Final Chase has a ton of rails to grind on, but it also introduces a unique mechanic, the gravity cylinders. Whenever Shadow gets near one, it pulls him in and lets him run along the surface. And honestly, I've almost never had these things glitch out. Maybe that's because I'm playing the Dreamcast version, and most people play the GameCube or PC ports. And those versions are notorious for having glitches. And the level is long, probably one of the longest speed stages in the entire game, but it's still an absolute blast to play. During this playthrough, I spent a solid 10 minutes just messing around, trying to pull off crazy skips and to see what stuff I could do. Just doing all kinds of nonsense. And it's one of those levels where it's just fun, and I don't mind taking time to just screw around because it's fun. And the music is pretty good. This stage has a vocal track called The Supernatural, and it fits the vibe perfectly. Now here's the wild part. It actually has lyrics, but most people don't know what the heck is being said. But I'm here to fix that, because we are going to analyze all the lyrics in this stage's theme, The Supernatural. Alright, so the first verse basically sounds like Shadow is giving himself a pep talk in the mirror. He keeps insisting that he's the ultimate life form, flawless, unstoppable, unpredictable, all that tough guy edgy stuff. But the thing is, none of it is confident. It feels defensive. This is Shadow clinging to the identity he was told he has, not something he actually believes. And the more he says it, the more it sounds like he's trying to convince himself it's true. This is the moment in the story where Rouge's discovery is eating at him. Is he really the ultimate life form? Why does he feel doubt? Why does he feel fear? Why does Maria's memory shake him? This verse is basically Shadow trying to drown out those questions by yelling, "I'm perfect," louder and louder. So basically at this point, Shadow's ego is cracking, and he's desperately trying to keep it together. Now, I really hope I'm putting the lyrics in the right spot, because it's kind of hard to tell where they are in the song itself, but I'm doing my best here, okay guys? Anyway, that was the last verse. And basically, it just keeps repeating the line, "Just move." On the surface, it sounds like hype music. But it's actually way deeper than that. I believe this is the song pushing Shadow towards a decision. Up to this point, he has been passive. He's been following what he thinks is Maria's wish, Eggman's orders, and now his own broken memories. But now he's at the crossroads. He has to choose what kind of person he will be in the end. And that decision is exactly what leads him into the finale.
You never cease to surprise me, Blue Hedgehog. I thought that capsule you were in exploded in space.
You know, what can I say? I die hard.
So, there's more to you than just looking like me. What are you, anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
I see. But you know, I can't let you live. Your adventuring days are coming to an end.
All right, Shadow. Time for me to finish this.
Here we are again at the Sonic vs. Shadow fight. Except now we're playing as Shadow. Everything about the fight is the same as the hero story, and we've already covered that. But I did promise you guys something, an analysis of the lyrics for True Story. So, let's dive into what they actually mean with the context of what we now know about Shadow the Hedgehog. So, I'm pretty sure everyone just went, what the hell is this song trying to say? Let me explain. The line, stars don't twinkle, the moon doesn't shine, is not talking about literal astronomy. It's talking about Shadow's mindset. Basically, Shadow's world has gone dark. He has lost any sense of wonder and beauty. Or it can mean nothing feels alive or meaningful to him. Even the sky feels empty. Basically, the guy's brain is an absolute train wreck. The lines, birds don't sing, the wind doesn't blow. This expands the emptiness from the sky to the world around him. Nature feels frozen. No birds, no wind, total silence. Basically, this is Shadow's internal paralysis. He's stuck between memory and truth. Then we hit the lines about pure body and perfect existence. And the song shifts from numbness to identity. And I believe the pure body, perfect existence line is basically an ego flex. It's how Shadow views himself as the perfect body with the perfect existence. Now we get to the end of the song. The cold mentioned in I'm Shivering with Cold is not physical. It's the chill of realizing he may not know who he is. And struggling against despair is his first honest admission of weakness. He's finally confessing he's afraid. Anyway, after the fight, which Sonic clearly won, as the hero's story already spoiled that for us, Eggman swooped in at the end, grabs the last Chaos Emerald after Tails defeated him, and the ending to the Darkseid story has him slamming it into the Eclipse Cannon and starts laughing like a maniac, convinced he's finally won. But there's one tiny problem. A giant computer screen flashes, "Danger! Danger! Danger!" And then, the dark story just ends. Roll credits. So, what's going on? Why is the cannon malfunctioning? Why is the Ark suddenly freaking out? Why did the story just stop just as things were getting interesting? Well,
The ultimate life form. Chaos control.
Space
Desperation.
prayer.
Supersonic
Wish.
collision. Untamed power. Maria.
Professor Gerald, the truth about 50 years ago.
Everything.
Sonic Adventure 2. Last episode. Wishes are eternal.
anyway, the last story opens with the space colony Ark on a collision course with Earth. Yeah, that's one hell of a way to start things off. And the reason this is happening? Well, Gerald Robotnik is happily explaining it to everyone by blasting his plan globally to where everyone can see it. Yup, he is blasting the footage of right before his execution globally, all over the world, explaining his plans. And thanks to Rouge reading the diary Eggman found earlier, the group can finally piece together what's going on. Turns out, Gerald completely snapped after Maria died. And honestly, once you hear what happened, you can't really blame him too much for losing it, even if his plan is absolutely insane. Remember how Gerald was working on the Ark to create Shadow? and how he was creating the ultimate life form for the government? Yep, they decided they didn't like that anymore. Even though the government ordered the project, they shut it down, killed everyone on the Ark except for Gerald, and then covered it up by calling it an accident. When Gerald learned Maria was killed during the raid, he went off the deep end. So what does he do? The only logical thing to do, apparently. He was going to attempt to genocide the entire planet as revenge. He somehow reprogrammed the Ark from his prison cell, mind you, so that if all 7 Chaos Emeralds were ever brought to the colony, it would destabilize the reactor and send the Ark crashing into the Earth, causing a catastrophic explosion. How did he do this from a jail cell? No clue. Science, I guess. And then it gets even crazier. He also managed to record a full monologue on a camcorder and upload it to the Ark's systems right before his execution. Sure, why not? Makes total sense. And somehow, Eggman missed all of this when he read Gerald's diary. I'm guessing he stopped reading after the Ultimate Life Form Weapon section. But, as Dr. Strange himself once said,
yeah, you really should have stolen the whole book because the warnings come after the spells.
But Rouge the Bat, of all people, has a plan. If there's one thing she knows, it's Jules. And thanks to Knuckles, she knows the Master Emerald can neutralize the Chaos Emerald's power. If they can shut down the Chaos Emeralds, they can stop the Ark from falling. So what is everyone waiting for? Eggman teams up with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Rouge to stop the Ark. Shadow doesn't join them because at this point, he still believes humanity deserves what's coming to them. But everyone else is ready to fight. Leading to the last level, Cannon's Core. The level is structured so each character gets a small section, all built around the same gimmick. Time control. You shoot specific switches that freeze time. Literally, everything except for you gets frozen in time. It's a pretty cool mechanic. The first section is Tails and Eggman blasting open doors. The next section is the Rouge and Knuckles section, where they flip switches to open more pathways and doors. And let me say this section is where you absolutely need the air necklace. True story, I beat this level my first time around without the air necklace, and it was a nightmare. It's possible, but it requires absolute perfect timing. Get the air necklace in Aquatic Mine. Trust me. Finally, you reach the Sonic section. As he races towards the Cannon's Core, it's easily my favorite part of the level, even if it's the shortest. There's even a slide section that feels like a callback to Lost World, even though this is clearly an artificial version of it. Also, each gameplay section has its own music. However, it's all just variants of rock. Here, take a listen to them. this, Amy finds Shadow just sitting there, staring down at Earth as it's about to go kaboom. And it turns out he's just fine with that. He's fully prepared to die along with everyone else. But Amy has other plans and manages to change his mind and heart in one of the best scenes in the entire game.
Shadow, we need you. Please help us.
It's all going according to plan. There's no reason for me to help them. Besides, there's no way to save anyone.
There has to be. I know that people fight over the most trivial things. Some people may be selfish, like the professor said. But they're basically good if they try their best and never give up on their wishes. They always have a reason to be happy. That's why you should help them out. Saving them is a good thing. Shadow, I beg you, please do it for them. Give them a chance.
Shadow, I beg of you, please, do it for me.
Maria!
Future, for all people who live on that planet, give them a chance to be happy. Let them live for their dreams. Shadow, I know you can do it. That's the reason why you were brought into this world. Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
I promised her, and I must keep that promise. That's what I really wished for. I've got to go now. I have to keep my promise to Maria and you.
And with that, Shadow finally snaps out of it and runs to help the others. Good thing too, because he arrives just in time for the Bio-Lizard to awaken. Yeah, the Bio-Lizard is Gerald's first attempt at creating the ultimate life form. And honestly, it makes sense he would try a lizard first when you think about it. Lizards have natural regeneration properties, so starting with a salamander isn't the worst idea. But man, I feel bad for the little guy. It started out as this cute salamander and ended up being mutated into this barely functioning, grotesque creature. And it doesn't even work properly. It needs life support systems just to survive. Shadow here ends up confronting his own prototype as the others go stop the Chaos Emeralds, leading to one of the most intense boss fights in the entire game, the Bio-Lizard. I personally believe it is the hardest fight in this game. You have to use every speed type ability you have learned. Somersaults, jumps, rail grinding, homing attacks, everything. It's tough. Honestly, way tougher than the actual final boss. And the music that plays during this fight, supporting me, is a very interesting song, and I think it really fits the tone. Though the lyrics are distorted and chaotic, so most people probably don't know what's being said. But that's where I come in, to break them down and analyze them. Let's do it! The opening lines are pretty obvious. Shadow is desperate to fix the situation, and he never loses. But he has to hurry, otherwise the Ark is gonna fall to Earth. So the lines, "I believe in my future, farewell to the Shadow," is Shadow letting go of the past, the version of himself that was defined by revenge and what Gerald wanted him to do. He's going to do what he wants to do, which is fulfill Maria's wish. Yeah, that was a mouthful. And the lines, "It was my place to live, but now I need your hand," is his turning point. The arc, the experiments, the grief, that used to be his entire world. But now he's pushing forward. He's thinking of Maria, Amy, and of the people that pulled him out of the darkness. It's the first time Shadow admits he can't carry this alone. "Lead me out with your light" makes that connection even clearer. The light is the hope, memory, and purpose. Everything the Bile Lizard doesn't have. Shadow is fighting the prototype, but he's also fighting the fate he narrowly escaped. And then you get, "I breathed in the disgusting air of darkness, but I never lose out to the pressure." That's Shadow acknowledging how close he became to exactly what the Bile Lizard is, a weapon built from pain. But he refuses to break under it. He refuses to let the darkness define him. And when he says everything is just like an illusion, it reflects how unstable his memories have been, as well as his mental state. And the "I'll be losing you before long," I believe, is Shadow letting go of Maria's memory. I'm not entirely sure, though. This is one line. I'm not entirely sure of its meaning. And then the last line, "I'll never lose my confidence." The line is basically arrogance. Shadow is showing how much of a badass he is. He knows he's a badass. And he's never going to lose his confidence. He's going to kick this thing's ass straight into the next millennium. And then we get to the last chorus. When Shadow says, "I know you are supporting me," it's him acknowledging the people who gave him purpose. That includes Maria, whose memory drives him, and Amy, whose compassion reminded him that he could choose a different path. Overall, "Supporting Me" is a pretty badass song, and I would say it's the absolute perfect song for this boss fight. After Shadow defeats the Bile Lizard, it turns out things are far from over. They managed to stop the Chaos Emeralds, sure, but the Bile Lizard isn't done. Instead, it fuses with the Space Colony Ark and starts dragging the entire station towards Earth. How is it doing this? I have no idea. There's no way the Bile Lizard can make propulsion to my knowledge, but whatever. So, Sonic and Shadow realize there's only one option left. Use the power of the Chaos Emeralds and go super. The Bile Lizard is now outside the Ark, mutated into its final form, the Final Hazard. And by gone into its final form, I mean it shoved the space colony up its ass. And the two hedgehogs take the fight into outer space. And this final boss is epic. Absolutely epic. Because the game's main theme, Live and Learn by Crush 40, is blasting the entire time. The fight itself is pretty simple. You swap between Sonic and Shadow, ramming into the Bile Lizard's glowing weak points, the swollen areas where its body is literally shutting down now that it's been ripped off life support, and you've got 5 minutes to take it down. And each hedgehog only gets 50 rings per hit. And you lose a ring about every second you're in super form, which is the entire fight. When you hit a weak point, you switch to the other hedgehog and keep going until you stop the arc from crashing into Earth. Take too long, and you're done. It's one of the most iconic bosses in gaming history. I still personally prefer Perfect Chaos from the first game, but this one is undeniably badass. And of course, since Live and Learn is blasting in the background, I have to analyze the lyrics to the song. So what are we waiting for? Let's get into it.
Can you feel life moving through your mind? Ooh, looks like it came back for more. Yeah. Can you feel time slipping down your spine? Ooh, you're trying to ignore. Yeah. But you can hardly swallow your fears and pain when you can't help but follow and put you right back where you came.
The opening verse, "Can you feel life moving through your mind?" is essentially calling back to everything Sonic and Shadow have been through to this point. All the chaos, all the mistakes, all the growth. It's like the past is catching up to them, refusing to be ignored. And then, "Can you feel time slipping down your spine?" That line perfectly matches the stakes of the final battle. The arc is falling, the world is minutes from destruction, and both hedgehogs are literally racing against time. There's no room for hesitation, no room for doubt. This is now or never, and both hedgehogs know it. And then we get, "But you can hardly swallow your fears and pain." This is directed straight at Shadow. He's carrying the weight of Maria, the truth about his past, and the knowledge that he might not survive this fight. Sonic feels it too. He's the hero, and even heroes crack under pressure. And then the line, "And you can't help but follow." It puts you right back where you came. Ties the whole story together. Both Sonic and Shadow are being pulled back to the core of who they are. Sonic is stepping into the role of the world's protector like he always has been, and Shadow is finally honoring Maria's wish. The song is basically saying here, you can't run from who you are.
Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the words of yesterday. Live and learn, if you fail or if you borrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way. Oh, yeah.
Now we get to the main chorus. "Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow." This line basically perfectly captures the stakes of the final battle. Sonic and Shadow are literally fighting on the edge of the planet's destruction. And if they fail here, there will be no tomorrow. And then "Live and learn from the works of yesterday" is very simple. Basically, it's saying, learn from your past, don't run from it. And I believe the lines, "if you beg or if you borrow," is essentially saying, sometimes you need help. And yes, it's important to live and learn, but also sometimes you gotta borrow from other people or have help, essentially.
Can you feel the life tangle you up inside? on the floor. Oh, but you can't save your sorrow. You pain and trade, and you can't help but follow. Puts you right back where you came.
This next verse is pretty easy to analyze. Can you feel life tangle you up inside? Captures basically Shadow's entire life. The pressure, the memories, the consequences. For Shadow, it reflects how tangled his entire existence has become. He spent the whole game being pulled between revenge and grief. And purpose. And now all of that is tangling together at once. And then you get, now you're face down on the floor. It's blunt, it's harsh, and it mirrors the way both Shadow and Sonic feel. They've been knocked down repeatedly throughout the story. Every failure, every mistake, every moment of doubt is represented in that image. But the important part is that they got back up. And then you get, but you can't save your sorrow. You've paid in trade. Is basically saying you can't undo your past. You can't erase the pain or mistakes that brought you here. And you can't save that sorrow. You can't hold it with you. But you can pay and trade, I believe, is basically Sonic saying, yeah, you screwed up big time, but I tell you what, you helped me save the world and we'll call it even. And then we get the lines, you can't help but follow. It puts you right back where you came, ties everything together. No matter how far you run, or how far you try to avoid your past, it will always catch up with you. It will always put you right back where you came if you refuse to learn from your past, and you'll make the same mistakes over and over again. So you gotta learn from your past, not erase it.
Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the works of yesterday. Live and learn, if you beg or if you borrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way. There's a face searching far, so far and wide. There's a place where you dream you'll never find. Hold on to what if, hold on to what if. Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the works of yesterday. Live and learn, if you beg or if you borrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way. Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the works of yesterday. Live and learn, if you beg or if you borrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way. Live and learn. Yeah, 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 yeah. Live and learn. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And now the last lines we have to talk about. There's a face searching far, so far and wide, feels like it's talking directly about Shadow. He's been searching for meaning, identity, and purpose ever since he woke up on the Ark. And then there's a place where you dreamed you'd never find, which I believe is Shadow never expecting to find hope again. He never expected to find a reason to fight for humanity. And then lastly, the line, "Hold on to what if," is basically saying, what if, Shadow? What if? Is there a possibility for change? What if is the chance to be better? What if is the idea that your past doesn't have to define your future? For Shadow, that's everything Maria wanted for him. And for Sonic, it's the belief he's always lived by. Anyway, after the fight, we reach the ending. Sonic and Shadow have to use Chaos Control together to stop the Ark from crashing into the Earth. And Shadow sacrifices himself to make it happen. Yeah, we all know he comes back in later games, but that was because he was so popular that Sega just had to bring him back. Back when this game came out, it was supposed to be permanent. This was supposed to be his final moment, his true ending, and it's bittersweet. They saved the planet, but at the cost of Shadow the Hedgehog's life. And honestly, I'm willing to forgive him for everything that has happened. He was manipulated, he was operating under false memories, implanted by Gerald Robotnik, he wasn't acting of his own free will, and in the end, he made it right. He learned the truth and chose Maria's real wish, and he paid the ultimate price to honor it. The theme that plays during this ending, as everyone talks about how awesome the planet was and how they just narrowly survived, is pretty good. You really get the sense that this was the end of Sonic the Hedgehog. Not just the end of the Sonic the Hedgehog, but the end of the Dreamcast is how I saw this theme. You see, Sega was going out of business when this game came out. The Dreamcast was already discontinued, and this was the last game on the console. Sega's future was unknown at this point, so for all the team knew, this was the last game Sega was ever going to put out. And that's just crazy to think about now. Sega was probably my absolute favorite game company growing up. I had a Genesis as a kid. I grew up in the 2010s, by the way, just so you know. And I didn't get to play the Dreamcast or the Saturn until much later on. And it kind of sucks, because the Dreamcast deserved better. The Saturn had its issues, I understand why it struggled. But the Dreamcast, everything about it was just right. It was the cheapest console on the market, it had some of the best games Sega ever made, and honestly, I would take a Dreamcast over a PS2 any day. Yet, it still failed, for a whole mix of reasons. And it feels unfair. And I think Sonic Team felt that too. This really was the end of an era. For Sega, for Sonic, and for everything the company had built up to that point. And the music, it just reflects that perfectly. The ending themes feels like a true farewell, a closing chapter, a moment where, if this had been the last Sonic game, it would have been a hell of a note to go out on. So, what did I think of Sonic Adventure 2 overall? It was amazing. I freaking loved this game, as well as the first adventure game. I don't know what people are talking about when they say, these games don't hold up, they suck. Sonic had a rough transition into 3D. No, he really didn't. These two games are some of the best games I ever played. And that's not blinded by nostalgia, by the way. That opinion comes from me playing both of them when I was a full-grown adult on my computer with no expectations whatsoever. I was just curious about these games because I played the Genesis games. And I freaking love them now. Heck, I love Sonic Adventure 2 so much that I 100%ed it. Which was a very, very bad idea. Because it was an absolute nightmare. Long before I started making this review, I thought, you know what, I just finished making a review of the original Sonic Adventure. And I've already got a handful of the emblems from SA2, so why not go all the way for my Sonic Adventure 2 video? I'll 100% the game, and then do the video. Simple, right? And sure, some of the levels are absolute nightmares, but it can't be that bad, right? So I did it. I had some rough patches here and there, but overall, I had a good time. Then I realized something. Wait a second, I've got all the A ranks, but I don't have all the emblems I need. Then it hit me like a truck. I still had to do all the Chao Garden stuff, plus the bonus modes, plus the boss rush. The boss rush wasn't that bad. The kart racing stuff wasn't that bad. But the Chao stuff, oh boy! It wasn't bad because it was hard. It was bad because it took forever! If you notice, in my gameplay footage of this video, I'm constantly going out of my way to grab Chaos Drives from enemies. Yeah, that's why. I needed them to level up my Chao. And I was so tired of delaying this video that I finally said, screw it! I'll record the footage I need while I grind for my Chao. And even after the video was almost done, I still had to sit down for nearly 6 hours straight, watching YouTube, listening to Breaking Benjamin, Crush 40, and Autopilot Off, while I mindlessly farmed Chaos Drives to power up my Chao. I never want to step foot in that damn Chao Garden again. It was not worth it. I'll give credit where it's due. The Light and Hero Chao Gardens aren't anything special. But the Dark Chao Garden, that one's actually pretty cool. Especially the Pool of Blood. Aesthetically, for its visual presentation, I'll give it a 10. It's an amazing garden. But all the other ones, I don't really like their visuals that much, and I don't ever want to raise another Chao again. And after all that, after getting all 180 emblems, after over 100 hours of gameplay, what do I get? A crappy recreation of Green Hill Zone in 3D. The novelty was cool. For about all of 5 seconds, this was not worth the effort it took to unlock it. This is your bonus level for 100% completion? It sucks as a completion bonus. It wouldn't be that bad. I would say it was really good. It just has one fatal flaw that damns it to hell. The camera. The camera is all over the place, constantly fighting you, zooming in and out at random angles. If the camera were pulled back a bit and actually stayed behind Sonic, it might have been fine. But as it is, no. Just no. I'll definitely come back to this game to replay the story and some of the levels from time to time, but I am never, ever 100%ing this game again. And I am never, ever going back to any of the damn Chao Gardens. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end. Oh, I did promise you guys something. I promised I'd explain why I relate to Shadow so much. And the truth is, it ties directly into why I do what I do. It's part of my origin story, so to speak. So are you guys ready for the most ridiculous, memorable, and somehow completely true thing ever? Take a wild guess how I started writing stories. Yes, I used to write stories on paper before I ever touched game design. Game design just became a new medium for the same creative impulse later in life. But the reason I started writing in the first place, it wasn't because I read something inspiring. It wasn't because I wanted to make tons of money and be famous. It wasn't because I enjoyed doing it. Well, I do enjoy doing it, but that wasn't the first spark either. No, it all started because of a girl. Growing up, I didn't really have any friends, and I was a pretty lonely kid. But then, when I was around 13 or 12 years old, I can't remember exactly, I joined Civil Air Patrol, and I met this girl, my first real friend ever. She had this goofy nickname, Bebe. I'm not kidding. She hated it, but that's what everyone called her. We became basically best friends, and yeah, I developed a massive crush on her. I was 13, cut me some slack, guys. One day, we were walking down the hall, and she said she would marry J.R.R. Tolkien. And my 13-year-old brain went, fantasy writer? She wants to marry a fantasy writer? I can do that. And that's how it started. That's why I began writing stories. And that's why I got good at lore. I literally have been doing this since I was 13 and wanted to impress my best friend. And that's the reason I relate to Shadow so much. It's because my best friend basically shaped everything I was. I am not the same person I used to be because of her. And to this day, there has only been 2 women I've ever been attracted to. Her and my ex, who I am not getting into. Stupid lying bitch. So what happened to my friend? Well, that's where more Shadow parallels come in. I don't know the full story. Something happened in the Civil Air Patrol with her brother. I'm not going into details, but long story short, her brother caused a ton of trouble, and the whole family moved to a different squadron. I talked to her one more time after that on the phone while I was working on a book. I specifically remember telling her I wasn't going to name the dragon in it Smog, even though I actually was. I think I disappointed her a little, but I was planning to surprise her later. And that was the last time we spoke. I got a note from her a few weeks later when I sent her a birthday gift, but after that, I never heard from her again. All I've heard about what happened were bits and pieces, rumors and fragments, and things that I know I'm not repeating because they're personal and I don't know what's true or not. But I can tell you this much. Her family went through a massive upheaval during that time period, and the family cut ties with a lot of people. I also know for a fact that she got married at 18 or 19 years old. She literally climbed out a back window of her house with only the clothes on her back to marry a guy she knew for 9 months. I wish I was joking. I am not. I have confirmed this to be 100% true. And honestly, I hope that relationship works out. I've been through a really bad breakup before, and I know how bad that pain is. I can only imagine how much worse it would be for her if things went wrong with them. I genuinely hope they're happy. But after she left, I went through a really dark time. My parents were divorcing, my only friend vanished from my life without explanation, and yeah, it wrecked me. 16-year-old me was not okay. And not long after that, I discovered coding. And it was the summer after that I bought my first computer. And the rest is history. I started coding, designing games, and now here I am. Sometimes I think back and wonder, what would have happened if she never left Civil Air Patrol? Would I have become a game designer? Or would have I gone down a completely different path? Maybe I would have been an author instead of the anti-gamer slayer. The guy who makes video games, rock music, and YouTube videos. Maybe instead I would be writing fantasy novels like Tolkien. That's a completely wild alternate reality to think of. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Thank you all for watching this far. And yes, I know I'm gonna get a ton of comments making fun of the fact that I started writing stories because I wanted to impress a girl. I won't delete any of them. Go wild. Anyway, this is the Anti-Gamer Slayer signing off. Oh, and Bebe, aka Bailey Jane, if you're watching this, thank you for everything.